The ancients did not measure a leader by the number of followers, but by the depth of the stillness in their soul. For from that stillness, they knew a new world could be born. This is not the leadership of titles, or of corner offices, or of commands given from a great height. This is a different kind of power. A power that is not taken, but remembered. It is the silent, unshakable authority that comes from mastering the one thing you truly have control over, the world within you. We live in an age of noise, the constant hum of information, the relentless pull of expectation, the storm of other people's opinions and our own anxieties. This noise promises everything, yet delivers only fatigue. It convinces us that leadership is about being louder, faster, more visible. And so, we run, we strive. We exhaust ourselves trying to manage the external world, while our internal world is left in chaos. But what if the path to true influence, to genuine impact, was not outward, but inward? What if leadership was not a role you step into, but a presence you uncover? This journey, this space we will share, is an invitation to walk that inward path. It is not a lecture, filled with rules and strategies. It is a sanctuary, a place to quiet the noise and listen to a more subtle voice. Here, we will explore the three great pillars of this inner authority. The first is calm, not an emptiness, but a profound fullness. It is the anchor that holds you steady when the waves of chaos crash against you. It is the quiet eye of the storm, from which all effective action is born. From this calm, the second pillar arises, clarity. When the waters of the mind are still, the mud settles, and you can see to the very bottom. This is the clarity that cuts through confusion, the light that reveals the path, the unwavering intuition that knows the next right step without needing to explain why. And when you are rooted in calm and guided by clarity, the third pillar emerges naturally, connection. This is the deep, unspoken understanding that you are not separate from the world you wish to influence. It is the invisible resonance between your inner state and the reality you experience. It is the ability to lead not by force, but by a presence that heals, harmonizes, and inspires. This is a journey to reclaim what has been lost in the noise. It is an exploration of the leader who does not need to shout, for their very being speaks volumes. The leader you have been searching for in books and seminars is waiting patiently within you. Let us begin. Let us begin with the world as you know it, the world of noise. It is not merely the sound of traffic or the chorus of notifications from the device in your pocket. It is the deeper noise, the clamor of deadlines, the shouting of unspoken expectations, the relentless hum of your own inner critic. It is the noise of yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's anxieties, playing on a constant loop within the theater of your mind. Your attention is pulled in 1,000 directions at once, a scattered army fighting a battle on every front. You feel thin, stretched, transparent. There is a deep and pervasive myth that to find peace, you must escape this noise. You must go to a quiet cabin in the woods, a silent retreat on a distant mountain, a place where the world cannot touch you. We dream of this escape, of a silence that is defined by the absence of sound, the absence of demand. But this is a fragile peace. It is a peace dependent on external conditions, a peace that shatters the moment you return to the world. It is not the peace of a leader. It is the peace of a fugitive. The stillness we are seeking here is of a different quality. It is not found by changing your location, but by changing your orientation. It is an inner sanctuary that you can access anywhere, at any time, especially when the storm is at its loudest. The first and most profound truth you must embrace is this: you are not the storm. You are the sky. The chaos you feel, the whirlwind of thoughts, the surges of emotion, the demands of your life, they are the weather. They are clouds, wind, lightning, and rain. They are dramatic, they are powerful, they are temporary. But you are not the weather. You are the vast, open, silent sky in which all weather occurs. The sky does not fight the storm. It does not try to push the clouds away. It does not become angry at the lightning. It simply allows the storm to be, to rage, and to pass, knowing that its own essential naturates, vastness, its stillness remains untouched. Can you feel the truth in this? That there is a part of you, a deep awareness, that is simply watching the drama of your life unfold. This watcher is the sky. Your thoughts are clouds drifting through it. Your emotions are gusts of wind. The events of your day are the shifting light of dawn and dusk. By identifying with the sky instead of the weather, you cease to be a victim of the storm. You become its silent, unshakable witness. This is the first step, to recognize that the chaos is happening within you, but it is not of you. It does not define your essence. Let us explore this with another image. Imagine your mind is a spinning top. From the moment you wake, the world begins to spin it. An email, a piece of news, a difficult conversation, a sudden problem. Each one is a flick of the finger, making the top spin faster and faster. When it spins at full speed, its color blurs, its sound is a frantic whir, its energy is chaotic and unstable. We spend our days reacting to this dizzying spin, trying to balance a thing that is fundamentally out of control. We believe our only option is to spin faster, to keep up. But every spinning top, no matter how fast it moves, has a secret. It has a still point, a single, infinitesimal point of contact with the ground, around which the entire chaotic spin is organized. A point of perfect, unwavering balance. This is your unseen anchor. Your task is not to stop the world from spinning your mind. That is impossible. Your task is to find the still point within the spin, to align your awareness with this silent, unmoving center. When you find it, the frantic whir of the spin may continue, but it no longer disorients you. You are anchored in the center of the motion, not thrown about by its momentum. Finding this still point, this unseen anchor, is the true practice. It is an act of supreme rebellion in a world that profits from your distraction. It is the choice to withdraw your energy from the periphery of the chaos and bring it back to the center of your own being. How do you find it? You begin by noticing. You simply notice the spin. You observe the frantic energy without judgment. You feel the pull of 1,000 thoughts without being pulled by them. You are the scientist, and your mind is the object of your gentle, curious observation. In this moment, as you are listening, try it. Notice the sounds in the room, but do not name them. Let them be pure vibration. Notice the feeling of the air on your skin. Notice the subtle energy field of your own body. And notice the thoughts, as they inevitably arise. See them for what they are. Wisps of energy, clouds in the sky, ripples on the surface of a deep ocean. Do not follow them. Do not fight them. Do not engage with their story. Simply let them arise and let them pass. Each time you do this, you are loosening the grip of the storm. You are gently guiding your awareness back from the chaotic spin to the still point. You are remembering that you are the sky, not the cloud. This practice will feel unnatural at first. The mind has been conditioned for years, for a lifetime, to chase, to analyze, to worry, to control. It has been the master of your house for so long that it will not give up its throne easily. When you first attempt to be still, the mind will often become louder, not quieter. It will present you with its most urgent and compelling arguments. It will tell you this is a waste of time, that there are problems to be solved, lists to be made. It will parade your greatest fears and sharpest anxieties before your inner eye, daring you to look away. This is a crucial moment. This is the resistance. Do not mistake it for failure. It is a sign that the practice is working. The frantic master is realizing it is no longer in charge. Your only task here is to notice this resistance, and with the gentle, unwavering patience of the sky watching a storm, you return to the anchor. You return to the still point, again and again. And again, each return is a victory. Each return strengthens the muscle of your awareness. This is not a passive state. This inner stillness is the source of all potent action. When you operate from the chaotic periphery of the spinning top, your actions are reactions. They are born of fear, of pressure, of impulse. They are often inefficient, misguided, and add more chaos to an already chaotic situation. But when you act from the still point, you are no longer reacting, you are responding. A response is born of clarity, of wisdom, of a deep inner knowing. From the silent center, you can see the whole spin. You can perceive the patterns in the chaos. You can make the one precise movement that restores balance, rather than the 10 frantic movements that increase the wobble. A leader who is anchored in this stillness has a presence that others can feel. They are a calming force in a frantic meeting. They are the person who does not get swept away by collective panic. They listen more than they speak, and when they speak, their words have weight, because they are forged in silence, not in noise. They are not adding to the world's noise. They are a living, breathing sanctuary from it. Their stillness is a gift. It becomes an unseen anchor for everyone around them. So the journey begins here, not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet inward turn. The recognition that you are not the chaos you experience. The commitment to finding the still point within the spin, the sky within the storm. It is the most fundamental shift you can ever make. It is the foundation upon which everything else will be built. For a house built on trembling ground will never stand tall, no matter how magnificent its design. Our foundation must be solid. It must be rock. It must be the deep, unshakable calm of our own true nature. Now, you may ask, this is a beautiful idea, but how do I hold on to this anchor when the waves are truly high? How do I find the sky when the clouds are so thick I have forgotten the sun exists? We need a tool, a tangible, physical anchor that can bring us back from the edge of the storm in an instant, a thread we can follow to lead us out of the labyrinth of the frantic mind. That thread exists. It has been with you since the moment of your birth, and it will be with you until the moment of your death. It is the most primal rhythm of life itself. It is the gateway to the still point. It is your breath. It is your breath, the most intimate, constant companion of your entire existence. You have taken over 500 million breaths since the day you were born. Yet how many have you truly felt? It is the wallpaper of your life. So present, it has become invisible. It is the silent, tireless engine running in the background. A miracle of biology that you have been conditioned to completely ignore. This unconsciousness is the default state of human existence. But it is not the state of a conscious leader. The journey from being driven by the currents of life to navigating them with purpose begins with the simple, yet revolutionary act of turning your awareness toward your own breath. This is the first command of self-mastery. It is the first and most powerful assertion of your inner authority. To take a single conscious breath is to declare to the universe and to yourself, I am here, I am present. I am reclaiming the throne of my own mind. Think of your being as two distinct shores, separated by a flowing river. On one shore is the tangible world of your body. It is always, unfailingly, in the present moment. Your body cannot be in yesterday or tomorrow. It sits here, now, feeling the chair beneath it, the air around it. This is the shore of reality, of groundedness. On the opposite shore lies the boundless, formless world of your mind. It is a realm of ghosts and phantoms, the ghosts of the past and the phantoms of the future. It is a place of infinite stories, anxieties, plans, and dramas. We spend most of our lives stranded on this second shore, lost in the mists of thought, believing it to be the only reality. Your breath is the bridge between these two worlds. It is the only entity that belongs equally to both. It is an unconscious, automatic function of the body, yet it can be consciously controlled by the mind. It is both physical and non-physical. It is the sacred link. When you are lost in thought, adrift on the shore of the mind, a single conscious breath is the act of walking across that bridge. deliberately, back to the solid ground of the present moment, back into the reality of your own body. This is not just a poetic idea, it is a felt experience. Let us walk that bridge together now. Bring your awareness to your next inhalation. Do not force it. Simply observe it. Feel the air as it enters your nostrils, slightly cool. Follow its path down into your lungs. Feel your chest and your belly gently expand. For this one moment, this inhalation is the only thing happening in the entire universe. You are not just breathing in air, you are breathing in life itself. You are drawing the energy of the present moment deep into your core. Now, notice the pause. There is a tiny, precious space of stillness at the peak of the in-breath before the out-breath begins. This is a moment of pure potential. It is a glimpse of the still point we spoke of, a moment suspended between action and release. In this pause is perfect peace. Do not try to hold it, just acknowledge its presence. Then, allow the exhalation to happen. Feel the release. Feel the gentle deflation of your chest, the softening of your belly. With this out-breath, you are not just releasing carbon dioxide. You are giving yourself permission to let go. Let go of the tension in your jaw. Let go of the tightness in your shoulders. Let go of the story you were telling yourself just a moment ago. Let it all dissolve and flow out of you. This is the rhythm. In with life, out with release, in with presence, out with tension. Imagine that each conscious breath is a wave of cleansing energy. The in-breath is a slow, clear wave washing up onto the shore of your being, bringing with it calm and vitality. The out-breath is the wave receding, taking with it the debris of the day, the mental clutter, the emotional residue, the physical stress. With every cycle, the shore of your consciousness becomes clearer, cleaner, more spacious. This is not something you have to believe. It is something you can feel directly. This simple act of conscious breathing is your most powerful tool in moments of crisis. Think of a time you received bad news, or felt a surge of anger, or were gripped by sudden fear. What was the first thing that happened to your breath? It either stopped, or it became rapid and shallow, trapped in the top of your chest. This is a physiological panic response. It traps the fearful energy in your body and signals to your brain that the danger is real and overwhelming, which in turn creates more fearful thoughts, leading to shallower breath. It is a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of anxiety. The command of self-mastery is to intervene in that cycle with a conscious breath. In the very moment you feel the heat of anger or the cold grip of fear, your first, most vital action is to deliberately, slowly, breathe deep into your belly. This single act is a pattern interrupt. It is a message sent from the conscious leader within you, directly to your primal brain. The message is, we are not in mortal danger. We are grounded. We are safe enough to breathe deeply. This action stimulates the vagus nerve, activating your parasympathetic nervous system, the body's own sacred, built-in mechanism for calm and restoration. You are consciously shifting your own biology away from fight or flight and into a state of centered awareness. This is not magic. It is the application of inner wisdom. It is using the key you have always possessed to unlock a door you thought was permanently sealed. Every time you do this, you are exercising your sovereignty. The world will constantly vie for your attention. It is the most valuable currency there is. An advertisement wants to steal it. A stressful email wants to hijack it. A fearful thought wants to consume it. To choose, deliberately, to place your attention on the simple, humble sensation of your own breath is a radical act. You are choosing what occupies the sacred space of your awareness. You are choosing the present over the past and future. You are choosing calm over chaos. You are choosing reality over illusion. A person who cannot command their own attention for the length of a single breath is not a sovereign being. They are a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every passing wave. A leader, a true leader of the self, is the one who has mastered this first command. They have learned to anchor their awareness in the rhythm of their own life force. So the breath is far more than a mechanism for survival. It is your ever-present teacher. It is your anchor in the storm. It is your bridge back to reality. It is your tool for transmuting panic into peace. Practice this. Do not wait for a crisis. Practice it now, while you are listening. Practice it when you are waiting in line. Practice it before you answer the phone. Let each conscious breath be a small act of homecoming, a return to the silent, powerful center of your being. Let it be the foundation of your practice, the rhythm that underlies your newfound stillness. For when you are anchored in the breath, when the immediate storm of the mind has been calmed by this conscious rhythm, you create the space necessary to look more deeply at the nature of the clouds themselves. You are no longer just trying to survive the weather. You are ready to understand it. The next step on our journey is to turn our calm, steady gaze upon the most powerful forces that move through our inner sky, our emotions. Anchored by the breath, you have found a small clearing in the dense forest of the mind. You have stepped across the bridge from the chaotic shore of thought to the solid ground of the present moment. From this newfound stability, we can now turn our gaze to the most powerful forces that shape our inner landscape. We can begin to truly understand the weather that passes through our sky. We turn our attention to our emotions. From our earliest days, we are taught to misunderstand them. When a powerful feeling arises, we fuse with it completely. When anger surges, we do not say, "I am experiencing a wave of anger." We declare, with absolute conviction, "I am angry." When sadness descends, we do not say, "A feeling of sadness is present." We state, "I am sad." This is more than just a habit of language. It is a deep, metaphysical error that is the source of unimaginable suffering. By identifying ourselves with the emotion, we grant a temporary visitor the ownership of our entire house. We give a passing cloud the title to the whole sky. We become small, defined, and trapped by a fleeting energetic state. To believe you are your anger is to believe you are nothing but a fire. To believe you are your sadness is to believe you are nothing but a void. This is the great illusion. The beginning of freedom lies in a simple yet profound shift in identity. The freedom is not in never feeling anger or sadness again. That would be the life of a stone, not an enlightened human. The freedom is in realizing that you are not the emotion. You are the awareness of the emotion. There is a part of you that knows anger is present. There is a consciousness within you that perceives the ache of sadness. This consciousness, this knowing presence, is who you truly are. It is the silent watcher. It is the vast, open, loving space in which all emotions are allowed to arise, to be felt, and to pass away. To reclaim your power, you must gently, persistently, shift your sense of self from the feeling to the witness of the feeling. You are not the anger. You are the one who is aware of the anger. You are not the sadness. You are the silent, compassionate space that holds the sadness. Can you feel the immediate relief in that shift? The cloud is the cloud. The sky is the sky. The cloud can be dark and turbulent, full of lightning and fury, but it cannot harm the sky. The sky's essential nature remains peaceful, vast, and untouched. Once you begin to disidentify from your emotions, you can change your relationship to them. For too long, we have treated our feelings as enemies. We judge them as good or bad, positive or negative. We celebrate joy, and we wage war against fear. We try to suppress our anger, deny our grief, and distract ourselves from our anxiety. We have become experts at emotional warfare, and the battlefield is our own soul. This war is unwinnable, and it is exhausting. The path of the conscious leader is not one of war, but of diplomacy. It is the path of radical acceptance. It begins with the understanding that your emotions are not random, malevolent forces. They are intelligent messengers. They are dispatches from your deepest self, carrying vital information for your growth and survival. Anger is not your enemy. Anger is a messenger of fire and strength, arriving to tell you that a boundary has been violated that an injustice has occurred, or that a change is desperately needed. To suppress anger is to ignore a fire alarm. Fear is not a weakness. Fear is a messenger of immense wisdom and respect, arriving to highlight something you value that may be at risk. It calls for heightened awareness, for careful preparation, for a deeper respect for the forces you are dealing with. To ignore fear is to walk blindfolded toward a cliff edge. Sadness is not a pathology. Sadness is a sacred messenger of water and release, arriving to help you cleanse a wound, to honor a loss, to let go of what is no longer meant for you. To deny sadness is to refuse the healing rain after a drought. Your task is not to shoot the messenger. Your task is to welcome them in, offer them a seat, and listen with respect to the message they bring. The practice is simple, though not always easy. When you feel a strong emotion begin to rise, the first step is to remember your anchor. Take one conscious, deep breath. This creates the initial space. The second step is to name it, gently and without judgment. Simply say to yourself, "Ah, this is anger," or "Hello, fear, I see you are here," or "Sadness is visiting." The simple act of labeling the emotion separates you from it. You are no longer angry. You are the one who is observing anger. You have moved from the center of the storm to the calm, watchful edge. The third, and most crucial step, is to allow yourself to feel it fully as a pure physical sensation in your body, without getting lost in the mental story that accompanies it. The story is the fuel. The story, "He always does this to me. I'm going to fail. I'll never get over." This is an endless loop that can keep an emotion alive for days, weeks, or years. Instead of fueling the story, bring your curiosity to the raw energy of the emotion itself. Where does this anger live in your body? Is it a burning in your chest, a tightness in your fists and jaw, a rushing heat in your face? Do not judge it or try to make it go away. Just feel it. Be the compassionate space for that physical energy. Where is the sadness? Is it a hollow ache in your throat, a heavy weight on your shoulders? Feel it. Be with it. What you will discover is a profound truth, a pure emotion, felt simply as energy in the body without the fuel of a mental story, can only last for about 90 seconds. It arises, peaks, and dissipates, just like a wave. It is our resistance and our addiction to the story that turns a 90-second wave into a lifelong tsunami. When you allow yourself to feel the energy without resistance, you create the space to hear the message. You can silently ask the emotion, "What did you come to tell me? What do you need me to understand?" The answer may not come in words. It may be a subtle shift, an intuitive nudge, a sudden realization. By honoring the emotion in this way, you are honoring yourself. You are saying that all parts of your experience are valid and worthy of attention. This is the essence of self-compassion, and a leader who cannot be compassionate with themselves cannot be truly compassionate with others. This practice of allowing and listening is the antidote to emotional suppression. Trying to hold down your feelings is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes a tremendous amount of constant energy. You may succeed for a while, but you are tense, you are distracted, and you know that the moment you lose focus, that ball is going to erupt to the surface with embarrassing and often destructive force. True emotional mastery is not the strength to hold the ball down. It is the wisdom and courage to let it float on the surface, to observe its color and shape, and to understand why it is there. The freedom that this practice brings is immense. When you are no longer afraid of your own feelings, you become fearless in the world. You are no longer making decisions based on avoiding the discomfort of anxiety or the pain of potential sadness. You are free to act from a place of clarity and purpose, because you know that you have the capacity to be with any emotional weather that arises. You can have difficult conversations. You can take calculated risks. You can lead others through times of uncertainty with a steady hand, because you are not terrified of the uncertainty within yourself. Your inner world ceases to be a minefield and becomes a rich, dynamic landscape that you can navigate with skill and grace. You have become the silent watcher, You have become the sky that lovingly holds all clouds. You have learned to welcome the messengers and feel their energy. But a question may arise. Is it enough to simply feel this energy and let it pass? What about the powerful raw energy of fear or the righteous fire of anger? Can it be used? Can we do more than just observe it? Can we become an alchemist, taking this raw, primal lead of our emotional world and transmuting it into gold? The answer is yes, and that is the next step of our journey. You have learned to be the sky, the silent, spacious witness to the weather of your inner world. You have learned to welcome the messengers of emotion, to listen to their wisdom instead of warring against them. This is a profound leap in consciousness. But what of the energy they bring? What of the raw, primal power that surges through your body as fear, the electric charge of anxiety, the searing heat of anger? Is it enough to simply watch it, to allow it to pass like a storm? Yes, that is the foundation. But upon that foundation, a higher art can be practiced. This is the art of the alchemist. Ancient alchemy was not truly about turning physical lead into physical gold. That was a metaphor for a much deeper, more sacred process. The transmutation of the base, heavy, leaden parts of the human experience into the radiant, golden light of enlightened consciousness. We are not here to eliminate the lead of our being. We are here to transform it. And your most challenging emotions, especially fear, are the purest lead you possess. They are the raw material for your greatest work. The first principle of the alchemist is this: energy is never created or destroyed, it is only ever transformed. The life force that animates you is neutral. The energy that expresses itself as joyful excitement is the very same energy that expresses itself as paralyzing fear. The only difference is the form it takes, the frequency at which it vibrates, and the story your mind attaches to it. Fear is not bad energy. Fear is simply energy that has become contracted, trapped, and misidentified. It is power that has been turned against itself. When you feel fear, notice what happens in your body. It is a process of contraction. Your breath becomes shallow, your muscles tighten, your stomach clenches, your focus narrows to the perceived threat. It is as if your entire being is shrinking, pulling inward, trying to become a smaller target. This is trapped energy. It is a dam holding back the river of your life force. The old way is to either be swept away by the flood when the dam breaks, or to spend all your energy trying to reinforce the dam. The alchemist's way is to consciously, skillfully open the floodgates and direct that powerful, built-up energy toward a chosen purpose. Imagine that your fear is a magnificent, powerful wild horse. It is pure life force, untamed and unpredictable. For most of your life, you have had two options when this horse appears. The first is to run from it, to avoid any field where it might be grazing. This is a life of limitation, of avoiding challenges, of staying small. The second option is to try and fight it, to cage it or kill it. This is the path of suppression, of constant, exhausting inner warfare. It is a battle you can never truly win, for you are trying to destroy a part of your own vital energy. The wise leader, the inner alchemist, chooses a third path. They do not run from the horse, nor do they try to kill it. They approach it with a deep respect for its power and its wildness. They stand their ground, breathe, and simply watch it. This is the practice of witnessing you have already learned. It is the crucial first step in building a relationship. Then, the alchemist begins the process of taming. This is not about breaking the horse's spirit, but about building trust. You do this by turning towards the fear, not away from it. When you feel its energy rising, you locate it in your body as a raw sensation. You breathe into it. Imagine your breath as a warm, reassuring hand, gently stroking the flank of this powerful creature. The horse expects you to run or to fight. When you simply stay present, with calm, open attention, it begins to see you not as a threat, but as a stable presence. You are consciously overriding your instinct to contract. You are choosing to expand around the fear, to make space for it. As you breathe into the knot of tension in your stomach, as you consciously soften the muscles in your shoulders, you are communicating to this wild energy, I am not afraid of you. You are a part of me, and you are welcome here. This is the taming. But the final, most magical step is to ride the horse. To tame it is one thing. To harness its power is another entirely. This is the act of transmutation. This is where you take that raw, explosive, nervous energy and you give it a direction. The physical sensations of intense fear and intense excitement are almost identical. A racing heart, quickened breath, adrenaline surging through your veins, heightened senses. The only difference is the label your mind gives, the experience. The alchemist consciously relabels. In the face of a challenge, when the wild horse of fear begins to gallop, you feel that surge of adrenaline, and instead of thinking, I am terrified, I am going to fail, you consciously choose a new thought. My body is awakening. This is the energy I need to perform at my peak. This is the power of focus. You must understand this clearly. You are not lying to yourself. You are telling a deeper truth. The energy is for peak performance. Fear is an evolutionary mechanism designed to make you hyper-aware, strong, and fast in the face of a challenge. You are simply agreeing with its purpose, but refusing its narrative of doom. Once you have relabeled the energy, you must channel it. Give it a job to do. If you are about to speak in public, take that nervous energy churning in your stomach and consciously channel it up into your voice, transforming it into passion and projection. If you are facing a difficult confrontation, take the energy that makes you want to tremble and channel it into your posture, standing firm and rooted to the ground. You take the horse's raw power and you grip the reins, pointing it exactly where you want to go. You say to this energy, thank you for this power. Now, let us use it to create. Courage, you see, is not the absence of fear. The absence of fear is either foolishness or a lie. Courage is feeling the wild horse bucking and rearing beneath you, acknowledging its immense power, and choosing to ride it toward the destination you have chosen. Courage is a partnership with your fear. This alchemical principle extends beyond fear. The searing heat of anger, when channeled, is not destructive rage. It becomes the passionate, unwavering fuel for justice, for protecting the vulnerable, for driving necessary change. The heavy, leaden weight of grief, when honored and transmuted, does not become depression. It becomes the gold of profound compassion, of a deep understanding of the preciousness of life, of an unbreakable connection to the shared human experience. A leader who is an alchemist of their own soul is a truly transformative force. They are not shaken by the anxieties of their team because they are not shaken by their own. They can stand in the midst of uncertainty and use its energy to forge new paths. They teach courage not by giving speeches about it, but by embodying it, by demonstrating in their own being how to dance with what others flee from. They show you, through their own presence, how to ride your own magnificent wild horse. You have now learned to find stillness, to witness the messengers, and to transmute their primal energy. You have become the rider. But we must ask one final crucial question. Where does this wild horse of fear so often come from? It is a creature born of time. It is nourished by memories of past failures and fed by anxieties about a future that does not exist. It is a ghost. To complete our mastery of this inner world, we must learn to dissolve the very landscape of past and future in which this ghost resides. We must learn to ground ourselves so completely in the only moment that has ever been real, that the illusions of time lose their power over us. We must discover the ultimate freedom that lies in breaking the chains of time itself. You have learned to stand as the silent, spacious sky, allowing the clouds of emotion to drift through your awareness without becoming them. You have welcomed these messengers, honoring their presence instead of fighting their existence. This is the foundation of peace. But peace is not the final destination. It is the solid ground upon which the temple of true power is built. We are now moving from the art of witnessing to the art of creating. We are moving from the observer to the alchemist. Ancient wisdom speaks of turning lead into gold. This was never a chemical formula, it was a spiritual one. It is the sacred process of taking the heaviest, densest, most difficult parts of your own consciousness, the lead of fear, of doubt, of anger, and transmuting them into the radiant, incorruptible gold of courage, clarity, and directed power. Your fear is not a curse. It is the raw material for your greatest masterpiece. To begin this alchemy, you must understand a fundamental law of the universe. Energy is impartial and eternal. It cannot be destroyed. It can only change its form. The same universal life force that fuels joy, creativity, and love is the very same energy that constitutes fear. Fear is not an evil or negative force that invades you. Fear is your own power, your own life, energy, caught in a state of contraction. It is a mighty river that has been dammed up by a belief, a trauma, or a projection into an imagined future. When this river is blocked, its power becomes immense, turbulent, and threatening. The common response is to either be terrified of the dam breaking, or to spend a lifetime trying to fortify it, living in a state of constant tension. The alchemist does neither. The alchemist walks calmly to the dam, acknowledges the immense power gathered there, and consciously decides where that river will now flow. Let us use our image of the wild horse. This horse is your fear. It is magnificent, full of life, and immensely powerful. It is not your enemy. It is a part of your own soul that has been allowed to run wild because you were taught to be afraid of it. Because you neglected it, it became unpredictable. When it appears, your conditioning tells you to run, hide, or fight. But the alchemist, the leader of the self, understands that to fight the horse is to fight your own vitality. To run from it is to abandon a piece of your own power in a forgotten field. The alchemical path is one of reintegration. It is the journey of befriending this wild part of your own being and inviting its power back into your life. The first act of this sacred friendship is to stand your ground and meet its gaze. As the energy of fear rises within you, you do not turn away. You anchor yourself in the breath. You feel your feet on the floor, and you turn your full, compassionate awareness toward the feeling. You locate it in your body. It is a cold knot in your stomach, a vibration in your hands, a tightness across your chest. Instead of recoiling from this sensation, you breathe into it. Imagine your breath is a warm, golden light, an offering of peace. You are not trying to make the feeling disappear. You are trying to make it feel safe. You are communicating on a cellular level. I see you. I feel you. You are allowed to be here. You are a part of me. The horse, which expected a fight, pauses. It feels your calm, steady presence. Its wild eyes soften just a little. This is the taming. It is a process built on trust in yourself. Now comes the transmutation, the sacred act of riding the horse. You must understand that the physical signature of high anxiety and high excitement are nearly identical. In both states, the heart pounds, the breath quickens, adrenaline floods your system. The only distinction is the meaning you assign to the experience. The alchemist consciously seizes control of this meaning-making process. As you feel the surge of what you used to call fear, you perform a shift in perception. You say to yourself, "This is not fear, this is readiness. This is my body coming alive to meet the moment. This is power." You are not deceiving yourself. You are aligning with a deeper truth. This energy surge is your life force mobilizing to help you. You are simply agreeing with its intent while refusing to accept its story of catastrophe. You are choosing the frequency. The energy is the string on an instrument. Fear is a discordant note. Excitement is a harmonious one. You are the musician, and you choose which note to play. Once you have chosen the frequency of power, you must give that power a mission. Energy needs direction. Without a channel, it remains chaotic. If you are afraid of a crucial conversation, you take that electric feeling in your limbs and consciously channel it into clarity of thought and conviction in your voice. You feel the horse's power beneath you, and you aim it, like an arrow, toward your desired outcome. You tell the energy, we are not going to use this power to imagine failure. We are going to use this power to listen with perfect attention and speak with unshakable integrity. This conscious channeling is the difference between being a victim of your energy and being its master. It is the essence of riding the horse. Courage is not the absence of the horse of fear. Courage is the art of staying in the saddle when the horse is galloping at full speed, its powerful muscles working beneath you and steering it, with intention and will, in the direction of your soul's calling. This alchemy transforms your relationship with all of life. The fire of anger is no longer the destructive force of rage. It is transmuted into the focused heat that forges change and defends sacred boundaries. The deep, heavy pull of sorrow is no longer the abyss of depression. It is transmuted into the golden empathy that connects you to all beings who have ever suffered, making you a source of profound comfort and wisdom. The leader who has practiced this inner alchemy radiates a unique presence. They are not fearless. They are full of a power they have befriended and learned to wield. They create environments of psychological safety because they have first made their own inner world safe. They are not thrown into panic by the anxieties of others because they have learned to ride the wild horses within their own spirit. They do not ask others to be courageous. Their own integrated presence inspires it. They prove that the darkest lead of our nature can, with conscious, loving attention, be transformed into the most brilliant gold. So you have learned to be still. You have learned to witness. And now you have learned to transform. You are the alchemist of your own soul. But as you stand in your laboratory, you realize that the raw material for fear, the lead you work with so diligently, is almost always mined from two specific territories, the landscape of the past and the landscape of the future. Fear is a ghost, a creature of time. It feeds on memory and imagination. To achieve ultimate mastery, to build your temple on the bedrock of reality, you must learn to step out of this illusory terrain of time altogether. You must learn to dissolve the very ground on which fear thrives. You must discover the supreme power of inhabiting the only place where your power truly exists, the eternal, unending, ever-present now. You have faced the wild horse of your own energy and learned the sacred art of the alchemist, transmuting the leaden weight of fear into the golden light of power. This is a monumental step in self-mastery. But even the alchemist must ask, from where does this lead, this raw material of fear, so often arise? What is the mine from which it is endlessly drawn? The mine is time, not the practical, functional time of the clock, which allows us to schedule meetings and bake bread. That is a useful convention. The time we speak of is a sickness of the soul. It is psychological time, the relentless, obsessive compulsion of the mind to live anywhere but here. It is the prison made of two walls, the wall of the past and the wall of the future. Within these walls, true life cannot flourish. Within these walls, peace is impossible. Within these walls, fear is the air you breathe. Our final act of alchemy, the great work, is not to transmute a single emotion, but to dissolve the very prison in which all suffering is born. It is the journey out of time and into the eternal present moment. It is the journey home. Let us first examine the wall of the past. What is it? It is not real. It does not exist. It has no substance. It is nothing more than a collection of memories, and a memory is a thought form happening in your mind right now. It is a ghost. Yet, we allow this ghost to rule our lives. We build our entire identity upon it. We tell ourselves, I am the person who suffered that loss. I am the person who made that mistake. I am the person who was wronged. We stitch together these stories of yesterday to create the costume of me, a heavy, cumbersome garment that we must then drag through every moment of our lives. This me that is made of the past is the source of all resentment, all guilt, all regret. Resentment is the act of reliving a past pain over and over, poisoning the present moment with an event that is finished. It is like choosing to drink a small amount of poison every day, hoping the other person will suffer. Guilt is the act of endlessly punishing yourself in the present for a past action that you can never change. It is a form of psychic violence you commit against yourself. You become both the prisoner and the jailer in a cell of your own making. This possession by the ghost of the past prevents you from seeing reality as it is. You look at people and situations not with fresh eyes, but through the clouded lens of memory and past judgment. You meet a new person, but your past experiences with others dictate how you interact. You face a new opportunity, but the memory of a past failure whispers seeds of doubt into your heart. The past is a veil that hangs between you and life itself. The ego, the false self, loves this veil. It needs the past to survive, for without its stories, without its grievances and its triumphs, it is nothing. To step out of the past is to begin the dissolution of the ego. It is a terrifying prospect for the part of you that believes it is its story, but it is the only path to freedom. The power to break these chains is not found by analyzing the past further, nor by trying to forget it. The power is found by realizing its profound unreality. It has no power over you unless you give it power in the only moment that exists. Now. You can drop the heavy costume of your story, right now. You can choose to meet this moment, naked and new, free from the weight of 1,000 yesterdays. Now let us turn to the other wall of the prison, the future. If the past is a ghost, the future is a mirage. It is a complete fabrication of the mind. It has never happened. It does not exist. And yet, how much of your precious life force, your present moment energy, is spent contemplating, worrying about, and planning for this phantom realm? The primary emotion of the future is anxiety. Anxiety is the experience of suffering from something that has not occurred. Your mind creates a negative projection, a what-if scenario, and your body reacts as if it were happening now. Your heart races, your stomach churns, you feel the contraction of fear, all because of a thought, a mental movie that you are playing for yourself. It is a state of profound madness, yet it is considered normal in our society. We are a culture addicted to worrying about a mirage. Even our hope can become a subtle trap. When we place all our faith in a future outcome, I will be happy when I get the promotion, I will be at peace when I find a partner, I will relax when I retire, reduce the present moment to a mere stepping stone. The now becomes a means to an end, something to be endured and gotten through on the way to a future salvation that never quite arrives. Because when that future moment does arrive, it doesn't arrive as the future. It arrives as another now. And if you have conditioned your mind to always look ahead, you will be unable to receive the gift of its arrival. You will already be looking toward the next future goal, forever chasing a horizon that recedes as you approach it. Imagine you are a gardener, standing before a single, magnificent, living tree. This tree is the present moment. It is real. Its leaves are shimmering in the light. Its roots are deep in the earth. It is bursting with life. But as the gardener, you are not looking at the tree. Your back is turned to it. You are either on your knees, weeping over the spot where a seedling died last season that is living in the pasture. You are staring anxiously at the sky, worrying about a potential hailstorm that might come next week that is living in the future. And all the while, the one and only tree that is real, the tree that needs your care, your attention, your presence, is completely ignored. Your life is this tree. It is only ever happening now. Your power to act, to create, to love, to feel, to be alive, exists only in this moment. To live in psychological time is to turn your back on your own life. So how do we break these chains? How do we escape this prison and return to the vibrant reality of our own lives? We do not need to build a key. The door is not locked. It has been standing wide open all along. We simply need to turn around and walk through it. The way out of the prison of the mind is through the body. The mind is addicted to time, but the body lives only in the eternal now. Your mind can wander to your childhood or to your old age, but your heartbeat is now. The feeling of the air on your skin is now. The subtle hum of energy in your hands is now. This is your anchor in reality. This is the doorway. I invite you to walk through it with me. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply let your gaze soften. Bring your attention away from the stories in your head and into the sensations of your body. Feel the weight of your body in the chair, the points of contact. Feel the clothes against your skin. And now, go deeper. Can you feel the subtle field of life force that permeates your entire body? Bring your awareness to your hands. Without moving them, can you feel that they are alive? There is a subtle tingling, a vibrancy, a warmth. That is the feeling of life itself. Stay with that. Let that be your single point of focus. This sensation is not a memory or a future projection. It is real, and it is happening now. Now, expand that awareness. Can you feel the same aliveness in your feet, in your legs, your arms, your torso? Allow your entire body to become a single, unified field of vibrant energy. You are not thinking about your body. You are inhabiting it. You are being it. In this state of deep embodiment, anxiety cannot survive. Regret cannot find a foothold. The mind, with its addiction to time, becomes still. It has no choice, because your consciousness is no longer feeding it. You have withdrawn your energy from the illusions of time and invested it wholly in the reality of the now. This is the primary practice, but there are other doorways all around you. Your senses are portals to the present moment. Look at an object in the room, perhaps a flower or a simple cup. Look at it as if for the first time, without letting the mind label it. See its color, its texture, its form, but drop the mental word cup. For a moment, there is only pure seeing, pure perception. In that moment of pure perception, you are fully present. Or listen. Listen to the sounds around you. Not just the obvious sounds, but the symphony of the silence, the hum of electricity, the distant traffic, the sound of your own breathing. Hear them without judgment. Let them be just vibrations washing through your awareness. In that state of pure listening, you are not in the past or the future. You are here. Each of your senses is a sacred gateway out of the prison of thought and into the cathedral of the now. To live in this way requires a deep surrender to what is. This does not mean passive resignation. It means you cease your inner war against reality. If you are caught in traffic, you have two choices. You can be at war with the moment. This shouldn't be happening. I'm going to be late. I hate this. This creates immense stress, anger, and suffering, and it does not move the cars any faster. Or you can surrender to the fact that, in this moment, you are in traffic. You accept the isness of the situation. You breathe. You feel the aliveness in your hands. You look out the window. From this place of inner peace and acceptance, you can then take wise action if any is needed. Perhaps you make a calm phone call to say you will be late, but you are no longer at war. Surrender is not weakness. It is the highest form of intelligence. It is aligning yourself with the flow of life itself, rather than trying to swim against its current. When you begin to live from this state of presence, your entire life transforms. Suffering, which is always created by resistance to the present moment and addiction to psychological time, begins to dissolve. Creativity and intelligence flow effortlessly because they are not products of the frantic thinking mind. They arise from the stillness of your connected being. The quality of everything you do improves because it receives your full, undivided attention. When you speak to another person, you are not half listening while thinking about what you'll say next. You are fully there, offering them the most precious gift you have, your presence. This presence is the source of all true, sustainable calm. It is a peace that does not depend on the world being a certain way. It is a peace that underlies all conditions, all circumstances. And this deep inner state of peace does not remain locked inside you. It is not a private possession. It radiates from you like light from a star. It creates a field, an atmosphere, a vibration that can be felt by others. Your calm becomes a gift. Your presence becomes an act of service. It becomes the unseen anchor, not just for you, but for the world. You have walked the path inward, away from the ghostly prison of psychological time, and into the vibrant, living reality of the now. You have discovered that your true home, your true power, is only ever found in this single, eternal moment. By anchoring yourself in the felt presence of your own body, you have learned to access a state of peace that is not dependent on the circumstances of your life. It is not a fragile peace that the world can give you and then take away. It is a peace that arises from the very core of your being. It is the peace of who you are. But this peace, this profound inner calm, is not a private treasure to be hoarded. It is not a secret garden for you to enjoy alone. You must understand this. Your inner state is never truly private. It is a broadcast. It is a frequency. It is a silent, powerful signal that radiates from you at all times, influencing the world in ways your thinking mind can barely comprehend. Your stillness is not an end in itself. It is a gift you are constantly offering to the world. We are not isolated beings, encapsulated in skin. We are fields of energy, interacting and communicating on levels far more subtle than words. You have felt this countless times. You walk into a room where an argument has just occurred, and even if all is silent, you can feel the tension hanging in the air like a thick fog. Conversely, you enter a space of deep meditation or joyful celebration, and you feel an immediate sense of lightness and ease. We are constantly reading and reacting to the inner states of those around us. This is not mysticism, it is the nature of resonance. Panic is contagious, fear is contagious, but so too is calm, so too is peace. The person who has done the inner work to cultivate a state of deep presence becomes a source of regulation for everyone they encounter. They are a walking, breathing sanctuary. Let us use this metaphor. The world is a vast and often stormy ocean. The people in it are ships, tossed about by the waves of collective anxiety, personal trauma, and constant uncertainty. The ego's approach to leadership, the approach of the unenlightened mind, is to see this chaos and believe it must fix it. It jumps into a tiny lifeboat and frantically rows out into the storm, shouting instructions, throwing ropes, trying to manually steer every other ship to safety. This person is fueled by a nervous, anxious energy. They may have good intentions, but they often just add their own frantic splashing to the chaos, and they quickly become exhausted, overwhelmed, and bitter that their heroic efforts are not more appreciated. They burn out because they are trying to control the ocean. The conscious leader, the one who has found the anchor of the now, chooses a different way. They choose to become a lighthouse. What is the work of a lighthouse? It does not race out into the storm. It does not shout at the waves. It does not concern itself with the individual choices of every ship upon the sea. Its work is one of radical, unwavering being. The first duty of the lighthouse is to be immovably rooted to its foundation. For you, this foundation is your practice, your commitment to returning, again and again, to the stillness of the present moment. The second duty of the lighthouse is to tend to its own inner light, to ensure it is burning as brightly and as clearly as possible. This is your commitment to your own consciousness, to clearing away the fog of your own limiting beliefs, so that the light of your true nature can shine unimpeded. The power of the lighthouse is not in its frantic doing, but in its steadfast presence. It stands still, a column of peace in the heart of the chaos. It shines its light, consistently and without judgment. It does not shine only for the worthy ships, or the ships that are sailing correctly. It shines for all. The ships, lost in the disorienting storm, see this one unwavering point of light. It does not tell them what to do. It simply gives them a point of reference. It breaks the spell of their panic. Seeing that one stable point, they can orient themselves. They can find their own bearing. They can navigate their own path to the harbor. The lighthouse has saved them, not by doing anything, but by being everything that it is. Your presence is this lighthouse. When you can remain centered and calm in a moment of crisis, you become the reference point for everyone around you. You give them the silent permission to find their own center. Your non-anxious presence is the most powerful intervention you can ever make. Our culture undervalues this power of being. We are obsessed with action, with doing, with solving. We believe that if we are not actively speaking or fixing, we are not contributing. This is a profound error. Sometimes, the most powerful and effective act of leadership is to be the calmest person in the room. In a tense negotiation, when voices are rising and egos are flaring, your ability to remain in a state of spacious, non-reactive calm can de-escalate the entire situation. Your silence will be more powerful than anyone shouting. In a family emergency, when fear and grief are overwhelming, your steady, compassionate presence that does not try to fix or offer platitudes, but simply holds the space with love, becomes a rock for others to lean on. Your stability gives them the strength to process their own feelings. In a creative brainstorming session, an anxious, judgmental presence from the leader will cause everyone to shut down. But a leader who radiates an energy of open, patient, non-judgmental calm creates the psychological safety for the most brilliant and innovative ideas to emerge. This is the physics of consciousness. Think of two tuning forks. If you strike one, causing it to vibrate at a certain frequency, and then bring a second, silent tuning fork close to it, the second one will begin to vibrate at the very same frequency. It will begin to hum with the same note, without ever being touched. Your nervous system is a tuning fork. When you are broadcasting a frequency of calm, you help to regulate the agitated nervous systems around you. You are a human tuning fork for peace. This is why your personal inner work is the most generous act you can perform. Every moment you spend in meditation, every time you choose to breathe and feel your inner body instead of reacting with anger, every time you anchor yourself in the now, you are not just doing it for you. You are tending to the light of the lighthouse. You are strengthening your broadcast of peace. You are creating ripples of calm that extend far beyond your immediate awareness, touching lives in ways you may never know. Therefore, redefine leadership for yourself. It is not about being in charge. It is not about having the loudest voice or the most aggressive strategy. That is the way of the ego, the way of the frantic man in the lifeboat. True, soulful leadership is a service performed through the quality of your being. You serve your family, your team, and your community by becoming an anchor of presence and a beacon of calm. You lead, first and foremost, by the example of your own regulated nervous system, by the quiet authority of your own inner peace. Your greatest gift is the atmosphere you create just by being who you are. And now, as you settle into this understanding, as you accept your role as the lighthouse, something miraculous begins to occur. This foundation of unwavering calm, this commitment to being instead of just doing, begins to work on your own mind in a new way. The steady light of your presence, which you have so diligently cultivated, now turns its beam inward with even greater power. It illuminates the murky depths of your own consciousness. The waters of your mind, no longer churned by the winds of psychological time, begin to settle. The sediment of old beliefs and conditioned thinking, once held in agitated suspension, now gently drifts to the bottom. The water becomes transparent. For the first time, you can see all the way through. From the unshakable foundation of calm, the exquisite flower of clarity begins to open. You stand now as the lighthouse, your foundation rooted in the unshakable ground of the present moment. Your inner light, the steady radiance of your calm, is no longer a fleeting experience but a stable aspect of your being. It is a gift you offer silently to the world, a broadcast of peace that harmonizes the space around you. But the effects of this light do not stop at the edge of your skin. Having illuminated the world around you, that same light now turns its clarifying beam inward, performing its most profound work. It begins to penetrate the deep waters of your own mind. For years, perhaps a lifetime, these waters have been turbulent, churned by the winds of anxiety, clouded by the sediment of past conditioning and future fears. But now, anchored in the stillness of the now, the winds begin to subside. In the profound quiet, the sediment that was held in frantic suspension begins to drift, slowly, gently, down into the silent depths. The water, once murky and opaque, begins to clear. This is the dawn of a new state of being. From the deep soil of calm, the exquisite, clear-eyed flower of clarity begins to bloom. We are a culture that has been taught to seek clarity through frantic effort. When faced with a problem or a difficult decision, our conditioned response is to think harder. We pace the room, we make lists of pros and cons, we gather endless information, we ask everyone for their opinion. We treat the mind like a computer, believing that if we just input enough data and run enough analytical programs, the correct answer will be printed out. We throw stone after stone of frantic thought into our own consciousness, hoping to find a clear reflection. But what if this very effort, this frantic mental agitation, is the very thing that clouds the water? What if clarity is not something to be achieved, but something to be allowed? What if the answers you seek are not found by adding more thought, but by subtracting it? Imagine your mind is a pristine mountain lake. Its natural state, when undisturbed, is one of perfect stillness and crystal clarity. In this state, its surface is like a flawless mirror, perfectly reflecting the vast blue sky, the passing clouds, the light of the sun and stars. This is a mind in harmony with truth. When you look into this still lake, you can also see with perfect clarity to its very bottom, perceiving the ancient stones, the hidden treasures, the subtle life that exists in its depths. This is your own inner wisdom, your deepest knowing. But for most of us, the lake is rarely still. The winds of anxiety are constantly blowing across its surface, creating ripples of distortion. The stones of unresolved problems and urgent demands are constantly being thrown into it. And with every disturbance, the fine silt of your past conditioning is stirred up from the bottom, making the entire lake cloudy, murky, and impenetrable. When your mind is in this state, you can see neither the reflection of the sky above nor the wisdom that lies within. All you see is the turmoil. Our instinct in this situation is to plunge our hands into the water, to try and grab the swirling mud and remove it. We try to force the water to be still, but every desperate, grasping action only agitates the water further, making it even murkier. We become locked in a futile struggle with our own minds. The path of the wise leader, the path of the conscious being, is to do the opposite. You realize you cannot force the lake to be clear. The only action required is to stop disturbing it. You sit peacefully on the shore, in the quiet presence you have cultivated. You build a shelter of awareness to protect the lake from the winds of habitual, anxious thinking. You cease throwing the stones of frantic problem-solving into its depths, and then you wait. You trust the natural law of water and gravity. You allow the silt to settle of its own accord. This is not a passive, lazy act. It is an act of supreme intelligence and profound trust. It is the discipline of allowing. As you sit in this stillness, watching your thoughts arise and pass without grasping onto them, without following them down their familiar, turbulent paths, the sediment begins to settle. The waters of the mind begin to clear. And in this newfound clarity, the answers you have been desperately seeking begin to appear. But they do not appear in the way you might expect. They do not come as loud, dramatic pronouncements or complex spreadsheets of data. They emerge from the silence itself. Often, clarity arrives as a quiet sense of knowing. You don't know how you just know the next right step. There is a feeling of rightness, of deep inner alignment that needs no external validation. At other times, clarity arrives as the dissolution of the problem itself. In the stillness, you suddenly see that the question you were wrestling with was based on a false premise. You were trying to solve a problem that didn't really exist outside of your own agitated mind. The release from the question is the answer. And sometimes, clarity is simply the peace that comes from seeing reality as it is, without the filter of your desires and fears. It is the simple, profound acceptance of what is, from which all wise action flows. These answers were there all along. They were the treasures at the bottom of the lake. You could not see them because your own frantic search was churning up the mud that obscured them. This is why stillness is the prerequisite for wisdom. A leader who is constantly reacting, whose mind is a turbulent storm of thoughts and anxieties, cannot lead effectively. They are simply projecting their own inner chaos onto their team and their circumstances. They create confusion, not clarity. They mistake frantic activity for effective action. But a leader who has learned to quiet the waters of their own mind becomes a source of profound clarity for others. They can sit in a complex, chaotic meeting and hear the one simple truth that everyone else is missing. Because they are not caught in the storm of their own thinking, they can see the essence of the situation. Their presence itself is a clarifying agent. They don't need to have all the answers. Their gift is the inner stillness that allows the right answers to emerge, both within themselves and within the people around them. The practice then is to become a guardian of your own inner lake, your daily meditation, your moments of conscious breathing, your commitment to staying present. These are the acts of guardianship. When you notice your mind becoming agitated, when you feel yourself beginning to churn the waters with worry or obsessive analysis, you gently, lovingly withdraw your energy. You come back to the shore. You sit. You breathe. You watch the thoughts as if they are leaves floating down a river, allowing them to pass without needing to jump in and grab every one. You are not trying to create an empty mind. An empty mind is not necessary. You are simply allowing the contents of the mind to lose their agitating power. You are letting the sediment drift peacefully to the bottom. Gaze now into this clear, still lake of your own consciousness. It perfectly reflects the truth of this moment. It reveals the deep, quiet wisdom that has been patiently waiting within you. As you look, as you listen in this newfound silence, you may begin to notice a particular current, a subtle pull, a voice that speaks without words. It is a form of intelligence that is deeper than thought, more reliable than logic. It is the guidance system of your soul, a compass pointing always toward your true north. This silent knowing, which arises only from the deep stillness of a clear mind, is your intuition, and learning to hear it, to trust it, and to follow it is the next great step on your journey. The great, still lake of your mind is now clear. The sediment of past and future has settled. The agitating winds of anxiety have ceased. In this profound inner silence, you have discovered that you are not empty. You are full. You are full of a quiet, unshakable presence. And from this silence, a new faculty of perception awakens. It is a voice that speaks without words. It is a knowing that transcends thought. It is a guidance system that was once drowned out by the noise of your own mind, but which now makes itself heard in the stillness. This is your intuition. This is your inner compass, and learning to read it is the key to navigating the next phase of your journey. In our modern world, we have been taught to devalue this deeper intelligence. We have been conditioned to trust only the loud, logical, analytical mind, the intellect. The intellect is a magnificent tool. It can build bridges, it can write code, it can analyze data. It is like a detailed roadmap. If you know you want to get from point A to point B in a known territory, the intellect is the perfect guide. It will show you the most efficient route, calculate the distance, and estimate your time of arrival. But what if you are standing at the edge of a vast, uncharted wilderness? What if you do not know where point B is, or if it even exists? What if your journey is not about reaching a known destination, but about discovering a new world? In this situation, a roadmap is useless. In this situation, you need a compass. Your intuition is this compass. It does not provide you with a detailed map of the terrain ahead. It does not eliminate all uncertainty or risk. It does one thing, and it does it perfectly. It points north. It consistently, unfailingly, points you toward your soul's true north, direction of your highest growth, your deepest purpose, and your most authentic expression. To rely only on the intellect is to limit yourself to walking on pre-existing roads. To learn to trust your intuition is to give yourself the freedom to navigate the wilderness, to forge your own path, to discover destinations you could never have dreamed of. A leader who operates only from the intellect can optimize existing systems. But a leader who is guided by intuition can create something entirely new. They can sense the future before it appears in the data. They can pioneer, innovate, and inspire, because they are drawing from a field of information that is far vaster than their own personal knowledge. But how do you hear this voice? How do you read this compass? It does not speak the language of the intellect. Its language is far more subtle. Intuition is not a shout, it is a whisper. It communicates not through the frantic monologue of your thoughts, but through the quiet wisdom of your body and your being. One of its primary languages is the feeling of expansion or contraction. When you consider a choice, a path, or a decision, learn to bring your awareness deep into your body. A decision that is aligned with your true north, with your intuition, will create a subtle feeling of openness, lightness, or expansion in your chest and belly. It will feel right. It will feel like a quiet, peaceful yes, even if it seems scary to the logical mind. Conversely, a decision that is out of alignment will create a feeling of tightness, of dread, of heaviness. It is a subtle, energetic no. Your body knows the truth, and it will tell you, if you learn to listen to its quiet signals. Another language of intuition is spontaneous knowing. This is the classic aha moment. It is a sudden insight that arrives fully formed, often when your mind is relaxed and not focused on the problem. It feels clean, simple, and elegant, and it is always accompanied by a sense of peace and release. It is not the end result of a long, arduous thought process. It is a gift from the silence. It is a truth that has been perceived directly from the unified field of consciousness, bypassing the slow, cumbersome machinery of your logical mind. The great challenge is to learn to distinguish this quiet whisper of intuition from the loud, demanding shout of fear. Fear is a great mimic. It often cloaks itself in the language of logic and reason to make its case. The voice of fear is almost always loud, urgent, and repetitive. It has a frantic, agitated energy. It pushes you. It pressures you. It tells you all the terrible things that will happen if you don't listen to it. It creates a feeling of contraction and anxiety in your body. Its primary motivation is avoidance. Avoiding failure, avoiding judgment, avoiding pain. The voice of intuition, however, is calm. It is steady, quiet, and neutral. It does not need to shout or to argue. It does not threaten you with terrible consequences. It is a simple, clear, peaceful knowing. It does not push. It invites. It does not contract. It expands. Its motivation is not avoidance, but alignment. It gently points the way toward wholeness, toward growth, toward your authentic path. Learning to discern between these two voices is a critical skill. The practice is to feel the energy behind the voice. Fear feels heavy. Intuition feels light. To trust this inner compass requires a new kind of courage. It is the courage to place your own inner authority above the clamor of external opinions and the seemingly flawless logic of your own conditioned mind. There will be times when your intuition guides you to make a choice that no one around you understands. There will be times when it asks you to let go of something that your logical mind believes is essential for your security. This is the test. Every time you follow a small intuitive nudge to call a certain person, to read a certain book, to take a different route home, and it leads to a positive, synchronous outcome, you build the muscle of trust. You are creating a track record with your own soul. The more you trust it on the small things, the easier it will be to follow its guidance on the life-defining big things. The leader who is guided by this inner compass has a quiet confidence that is unshakable. They are not easily swayed by trends or by fear-mongering, because their direction comes from a deeper source. They can make bold, innovative decisions, because they are not limited by past data. They have a knack for knowing who to trust, which project to green light, and when to change course. This is often called a gut feeling or a knack for the business, but it is simply a well-developed and trusted intuition. They have learned that the still, quiet whisper within them is a more reliable guide than the loudest expert in the world. They understand that to read the compass, the inner environment must be still. They protect their inner peace. They guard the clarity of their own mental lake because they know it is the source of their most profound wisdom. As you commit to this practice, as you learn to still your mind and listen to the whisper of your inner compass, you will notice a change. Your life will begin to have a sense of flow and magic to it. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. The right people and opportunities will appear, seemingly out of nowhere. This is the universe conspiring to support a person who is listening to its guidance. And as you continue to follow the needle of your compass, consistently choosing the direction of inner peace and expansion, you will notice that it is not pointing you in random directions. It is guiding you along a specific trajectory. A pattern begins to emerge. You begin to glimpse the unique design of your life's purpose, the great work that only you can do. The compass is leading you to the office of the architect of your own destiny. You have followed the quiet whisper of your inner compass, learning to trust its subtle guidance over the loud demands of the world. This compass, your intuition, has led you out of the wilderness of confusion and brought you to the threshold of a sacred space. It has brought you to the office of the architect of your own destiny. And that architect is you. Here, in the deep silence of your own being, you are not here to be told what to do. You are here to draw the blueprint. You are here to connect with the foundational reason for your existence. You are here to articulate your purpose. The modern world has turned the search for purpose into another source of anxiety. We are told to find our passion or discover our purpose as if it were a single, magical object hidden under a rock, or a specific job title waiting at the end of a career assessment. This frantic search often leads to more confusion and a sense of inadequacy. We look at others who seem to have a clear, definable purpose. The doctor, the artist, the activist, and we feel lost because our own path is not so easily labeled. But this entire model is based on a misunderstanding. Purpose is not a destination you find. It is not a what. Purpose is a direction you set. It is a why. It is the core quality of being that you choose to express through every action you take, in every moment of your life. To define your purpose as a destination, my purpose is to become a CEO, is to build your house on fragile ground. If you achieve it, you may find yourself feeling empty and asking, what now? If you fail to achieve it, you may feel your entire life has been a failure. A purpose defined as a direction, however, is invincible. If your purpose is not to be a CEO, but to create order and empower potential, you can live that purpose in every single moment, whether you are running a company, organizing your home, or offering a piece of clear advice to a friend. Think of your life as a magnificent ship. You have a strong hull, your physical body. You have powerful sails, your talents and skills. You may have an excellent crew, your friends, family, and community. But a ship, no matter how well equipped, is utterly lost without a rudder. A ship without a rudder does not go nowhere. It goes everywhere. It is at the complete mercy of external forces. The shifting winds of public opinion, the powerful currents of cultural trends, the sudden storms of economic or personal crisis, all of these will toss the ship about aimlessly. Its motion is dictated not by a conscious choice, but by the chaos of the sea. This is a life lived without purpose. Your purpose is the rudder of your ship. It is a small, often unseen component, but it has the power to direct the entire vessel. When you have a clear purpose, you are the one who sets the direction. When the inevitable storms of life arrive, your ship will still be tossed by the waves. It will still be battered by the wind and the rain. A rudder does not make the sea calm, but as the captain of your vessel, as the conscious presence in your life, you can hold a firm hand on that rudder. You can keep pointing the nose of your ship toward your chosen true north. The storm may slow you down. It may push you off course temporarily, but it cannot hijack your destiny because you have not let go of the rudder. Your why gives you the strength to endure anyhow. This is the source of all great resilience. Setbacks are no longer devastating failures. They are simply feedback, information that helps you adjust your sails while keeping the rudder steady. So how do you define this rudder? How do you articulate this why? You do not find it by thinking harder. You find it by listening in the silence you have cultivated. You find it by asking powerful questions and allowing the answers to arise from your intuition, from that quiet place of knowing. Sit with these questions. Do not rush to answer them with your logical mind. Ask them, and then let them go. Let the answers simmer in the stillness of your being. What is the one quality you most love to express? Is it creativity, compassion, justice, order, beauty, connection? What activities make you feel most alive, most authentically you? What problem or pain in the world moves you so deeply that you feel a natural urge to alleviate it? Forget for a moment what you want to get from the world. What do you most want to give to the world through the quality of your presence? Imagine yourself at the end of your life. What do you want the legacy of your energy to have been? Your purpose lies at the intersection of your greatest joy and the world's deep need. It is the unique note that only your soul can sing. Once you have this clarity of purpose, even a glimpse of it, your entire life begins to reorganize itself around this new magnetic core. Everything becomes an opportunity to live your why. Mundane tasks are transformed into meaningful rituals. If your purpose is to create beauty, then washing the dishes is no longer a chore. It is an act of restoring order and beauty to your environment. If your purpose is to spread compassion, then listening to a frustrated colleague is no longer an interruption. It is a primary expression of your reason for being. This clarity simplifies all decision-making. When faced with a choice, big or small, you no longer need to create exhaustive lists of pros and cons. You have a single, elegant question. Does this choice align with my rudder? Does this move my ship even 1 inch closer to my true north? The intuitive yes or no, the feeling of expansion or contraction, becomes your immediate and trusted guide. This is the essence of being the architect of your destiny. You are the one who chooses the core principle around which your life will be built. This is a profound responsibility and an incredible freedom. The leader who is not connected to their own purpose cannot inspire it in others. They can manage processes, delegate tasks, and enforce rules, but they cannot ignite the human spirit. The human spirit does not rally for spreadsheets and profit margins. It rallies for meaning. It rallies for a compelling why. A leader who has done the deep inner work to connect with their own purpose and who can articulate a vision that allows others to connect with theirs becomes a force of nature. They create a culture where people are not just trading their time for money, but are investing their life energy into a shared, meaningful mission. This is where loyalty is born. This is where innovation thrives. This is where ordinary people achieve extraordinary things. Your personal purpose, when lived with integrity, becomes the generative force that can uplift everyone you touch. You have now arrived at a place of profound power. From the silence of your being, guided by the compass of your intuition, you have found your rudder. You have your why. The blueprint is on the architect's table, and it is clear, beautiful, and uniquely yours. You know the direction. But a blueprint, no matter how brilliant, does not build a cathedral. A rudder, no matter how steady, does not propel the ship forward. The sails must be hoisted to catch the wind. Now that you have this divine clarity, you must align it with the power of your will. You must gather all the scattered fragments of your attention, all the energy you once wasted on the past and the future, and learn to channel it with singular intent. You must become a master of bringing your vision from the inner world of being into the outer world of doing. You must learn the sacred art of focus. You stand now as the architect of your own destiny. In the great silent sanctuary of your being, guided by the unerring compass of your intuition, you have uncovered the blueprint of your purpose. You have found your why. This is the source code of a meaningful life, the core principle that gives direction and value to all that you do. The rudder of your ship is set, but a blueprint is only potential. A rudder only gives direction. To move the great vessel of your life forward, to begin building the cathedral of your destiny, you must learn to raise the sails and catch the wind of creation itself. This requires the mobilization of your life force. It requires that you learn the sacred and largely forgotten art of focus. We live in a world that has declared war on our attention. This is not an accident. It is a business model. The architecture of our modern digital life is engineered for distraction. Every notification, every infinite scroll, every algorithm-driven feed is a brilliant, carefully designed weapon aimed at hijacking your consciousness. These systems are created to trigger your most primal neurological responses, to hook you on an endless drip feed of novelty and validation, fracturing your attention into 1,000 tiny shards. The result is a collective state of continuous partial attention. We are everywhere and nowhere at once. Our minds have been trained to be shallow, constantly scanning the surface of things, unable to dive deep. We have become masters of the temporary and novices in the permanent. This state of constant distraction is not just inefficient, it is a spiritual crisis. It is the great enemy of purpose. A fractured mind cannot build anything of value. A scattered awareness cannot experience the deep fulfillment that your soul craves. To reclaim your focus is therefore not a mere productivity hack. It is a revolutionary act of defiance. It is the act of reclaiming your mind, your life, and your very soul from the forces that seek to monetize your distraction. To understand the power of focus, let us use the metaphor of light. Your consciousness, your life force, is like the sun. In its natural, unfocused state, its light spreads out in all directions. It illuminates and warms everything it touches, but its power is diffused. It can sustain life, but it cannot create fire. This is the state of the distracted mind. A little bit of your precious attention lands on an email, a little on a past memory, a little on a future worry, a little on a social media post. Your energy is scattered across a vast area, and while you are busy, nothing of significance is being accomplished. Now, imagine you take a lens. The sole purpose of a lens is to gather all of those scattered rays of sunlight and converge them onto a single, tiny point. Focus is the great lens of human consciousness. It is the faculty of your will that allows you to gather all the disparate, wandering fragments of your awareness and channel them with singular intent onto one object, one task, one idea. When you do this, a miracle occurs. The diffused warmth of the sun transforms into a coherent, intensely powerful beam of light. It becomes a laser. This laser of focused attention has the power to cut through the most complex problems, to weld new ideas into reality, to burn away obstacles, and to manifest your intention in the physical world. The power was always there in the sunlight. The focus is what made it effective. Your purpose is the blueprint. Your focus is the laser that cuts the stone. The practice of cultivating this laser-like focus is often called deep work, but let us reframe it as a sacred art. It is a meditative practice that requires you to create a sanctuary. In a world of noise, you must consciously build an oasis of silence. This means creating both an outer and an inner sanctuary. The outer sanctuary is a physical space and a block of time that you designate as sacred, a space defended against all interruption. You turn off the phone, you close the unnecessary tabs, you signal to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that for this period of time, your attention is not for sale. It is dedicated wholly to your purpose. The inner sanctuary is created through ritual. Before you begin your focused work, you do not simply dive in. You prepare your consciousness. You sit for a moment in silence. You anchor yourself with a few deep, conscious breaths. You state your intention clearly. For the next 90 minutes, my entire being is devoted to this one task. My full power is directed here. This ritual acts as a gateway, signaling to your mind that you are shifting from a state of scattered awareness to one of powerful, directed concentration. When you first begin this practice, you will encounter resistance. Your mind, addicted to the constant stimulation of distraction, will rebel. It will feel an itch, a desperate urge to check your email, to look at your phone, to do anything other than the one thing you have chosen to do. This is the withdrawal symptom of a distracted mind. Do not be discouraged by it. Do not fight it. Treat this urge as you have learned to treat all sensations. Notice it without judgment. Breathe into it, and gently, lovingly, return your attention to your point of focus. Every time you perform this act of gentle returning, you are strengthening the muscle of your will. You are rewiring your own brain, building new neural pathways for sustained concentration. You are taming the scattered mind and teaching it the profound peace of singular attention. At first, it is difficult, then it becomes manageable, and eventually, it becomes a source of the deepest joy and fulfillment you can experience. The state of flow, where you are so completely absorbed in a task that time seems to disappear, is a direct result of this sustained focus. It is the experience of your soul being fully engaged in its work, and it is the antidote to the anxiety of a fragmented life. This art of focus is not just for large blocks of work. It is a practice to be brought into every moment of your life. Our culture has created the myth of multitasking, but it is a lie. The human brain cannot focus on two conscious tasks at once. What it actually does is switch its attention back and forth with incredible speed. This rapid switching is exhausting, inefficient, and prevents you from ever being fully present with anything. The sacred art, therefore, is to practice monotasking. When you are drinking a cup of tea, just drink the tea. Do not also check your phone and listen to the news. Feel the warmth of the cup, smell the aroma, taste the liquid. Give your entire being to the simple act of drinking tea. When you are listening to another person, practice the art of just listening. Do not formulate your rebuttal while they are speaking. Do not let your mind wander to your to-do list. Offer them the sanctuary of your full, focused attention. This is one of the greatest gifts you can give another human being. By practicing this radical presence in the small moments of your life, you are training your mind for the great moments. You are healing the fractures of distraction and restoring a sense of wholeness and integrity to your consciousness. The leader who has mastered the art of focus becomes the calm, stable center of their world. A distracted leader creates a distracted organization. Their chaotic energy cascades downwards, resulting in unclear priorities, wasted effort, and a culture of constant reactivity. A focused leader, however, is a force of clarity. They hold the vision, the purpose, the why with unwavering concentration. They protect their team from unnecessary distractions. They model the power and importance of deep, meaningful work over shallow, frantic activity. They understand that their most precious resource is not their time or their money, but their focused attention. Where they choose to direct the laser of their awareness is where results will manifest. Their focus provides the stability and direction that allows their entire team to move forward with confidence and power. You now possess the final tool for creation. You are the architect who holds the blueprint of purpose. You are the alchemist who wields the sacred lens of focus. The sun of your life force is shining, and you have learned how to concentrate its power into a creative, world-shaping laser. The potential is immense, the energy is gathered, the intention is clear. What then is the first step in the act of building? Before the first stone of the cathedral is laid, before the first line of code is written, before the first action is taken, the word must be spoken. Creation begins with language. Your focused energy must now be infused into your speech, transforming it from idle noise into a generative force. The clarity of your purpose, sharpened by the laser of your focus, must now find its voice and begin to speak new realities into existence. You have arrived. You hold the architect's blueprint of your purpose. You wield the master tool, the lens of focus, which gathers the light of your consciousness into a creative laser beam. The energy is concentrated, the intention is pure. But how do you begin to translate the silent, inner blueprint into the solid, outer world? How does the cathedral of your destiny rise from the ground? The most ancient stories of humanity hold the key. They do not say, "In the beginning was the action," or "In the beginning was the plan." They say, "In the beginning was the word." All creation, from the birth of a universe to the building of an empire, begins with a linguistic act. It begins with speech. Your words are not merely descriptive sounds that report on the world as it is. Your words are generative commands that instruct the world on what to become. Your focused energy is the power. Your words are the code that tells that power what to create. Think of your consciousness, your subconscious mind, and your connection to the infinite potential of the universe as a vast, dark, and unimaginably fertile field of soil. This soil is impartial. It holds no preference. It has no will of its own. Its only nature is to grow, with immense power and precision, whatever seed is planted within it. Every word you speak, every sentence you utter, is a seed. You are a gardener, and you are planting seeds in this fertile ground all day long, whether you are conscious of it or not. When you engage in the common speech of the world, the speech of complaint, of gossip, of criticism, of doubt, you are meticulously planting seeds of weeds, of thorns, of poison ivy. You are sowing a crop of lack, conflict, and misery. The soil, in its impartiality, will dutifully bring forth a harvest that perfectly matches the seeds you have planted. And then, standing in your field of weeds, you will wonder why your life is so difficult. The conscious leader, the architect of their reality, understands this process with absolute clarity. They recognize that their tongue holds the power of both a beautiful garden and a barren wasteland. They cease to be an unconscious sower of random seeds and become a deliberate, masterful gardener. They understand that every word matters. They choose their words with the same care that a farmer chooses their prize-winning seeds. They know that seeds of possibility, of gratitude, of encouragement, of love, and of strength will produce a harvest of abundance, of joy, of connection, and of resilience. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law of creation. The energy of your focus gives vitality to the seed of your word, and the soil of the universe gives it form. At the heart of this creative power are the two most potent words any human being can ever speak: I am. These are not just words, they are a declaration of being. They are the primary command you issue to the fertile soil of the subconscious. Whatever follows the words I am becomes the blueprint for the reality you will inhabit. Listen to the unconscious way most people use this divine power. I am so tired. I am broke. I am always overwhelmed. I am not smart enough. I am sick and tired of this. Each of these statements is a powerful affirmation, a sacred command programming your reality for fatigue, lack, stress, and limitation. You are commanding your own suffering into existence. The conscious leader reclaims this power. They seize control of their I amness. This does not mean engaging in denial or toxic positivity, pretending you are not feeling tired when you are exhausted. It means choosing where to place your creative focus. While feeling a temporary state of fatigue, you can still affirm a deeper truth. I am a being of immense energy and vitality. While facing a financial challenge, you affirm, I am a source of abundance and resourcefulness. You are aligning your speech not with the temporary condition, but with the eternal potential. You are planting the seed for the reality you choose to create, rather than simply reinforcing the reality you currently observe. This conscious use of language must be fused with absolute integrity. Your word must become law. In a world of broken promises and casual speech, the leader whose word is bond possesses an almost magical power. Verbal integrity means there is no gap between your inner intention, your spoken word, and your outer action. When you say you will do something, you do it. This practice has a twofold effect. Outwardly, it builds unshakable trust. People learn that your words are reliable, that they have weight and substance. They trust you, they follow you, they invest in you. But the inward effect is even more profound. When you consistently honor your own word, your subconscious mind learns that your speech is a command to be taken seriously. The universe learns that you are a reliable co-creator. Your power to manifest reality increases exponentially because the creative forces within and around you have learned that your word is not cheap. It is backed by the gold standard of your action. A leader without integrity speaks with hollow words. They are scattering sterile seeds that will never take root. A leader with integrity speaks with power. Their every word is a potent, vital seed ready to spring to life. Consider the way a conscious leader speaks. They do not use their words as weapons to diminish, to control, or to manipulate. They use them as tools to build, to empower, and to illuminate. They instinctively avoid the low-frequency vibrations of gossip and complaint, not because they are trying to be nice, but because they understand it is the energetic equivalent of poisoning the communal well from which they, too, must drink. They speak of what is possible, even when discussing what is difficult. They frame challenges not as dead ends, but as opportunities for growth. When they must correct someone, they speak to the person's highest potential, not to their momentary failure. They use their words to paint a picture of a compelling future, a shared purpose that uplifts the spirit of everyone who hears it. Their speech is not reactive chatter. It is a conscious and continuous act of creation, perfectly aligned with the blueprint of their purpose. You are this gardener. You hold the bag of seeds. The fertile soil of your life is waiting. With the clarity of purpose as your guide, and the laser of your focus as your energy source, you can now begin to consciously plant the garden you wish to inhabit. Begin today. Pay attention to the words you use, both in your outer conversations and in the inner monologue within your own mind. Eliminate the seeds of lack and complaint. Consciously choose and plant the seeds of your desired reality. Speak of health, of strength, of abundance, of clarity. Affirm your I amness with power and intention. Let your word be an unbreakable bond. Let your speech be a force for healing and creation. You now have clarity of purpose, the focused energy to pursue it, and the understanding of your words as the very seeds of creation. The inner world of your being and the outer world of your expression are drawing into perfect alignment. You are no longer a passive observer of your life. You are its active, conscious creator. And when your words are this clear, this intentional, and this full of power, they provide the perfect framework for the next logical step in bringing your vision to life. They shape how you approach the pivotal moments of choice. A clear word precedes a clear action. We must now explore how to make our choices, not from the turbulent state of fear or confusion, but from the deep, quiet, and powerful still point of absolute certainty. You have arrived at the threshold of action. Your inner world is aligned. Your purpose is clear, serving as the blueprint for your life. Your focus is sharp, serving as the laser that channels your energy. Your words are intentional, serving as the creative seeds you plant in the fertile ground of reality. You have gathered all the elements of creation. Now you stand at the pivotal point where inner potential translates into outer manifestation. This point is the moment of decision. Every action you take is preceded by a choice, whether conscious or unconscious. For most, decision-making is a process fraught with anxiety, a turbulent mental battleground. But for the one who has done the inner work, it can become a sacred act, a moment of profound peace and power, a quiet alignment with the flow of life itself. Let us first examine the flawed ways we are taught to choose, so we may leave them behind. The first is the path of the frantic mind. Paralysis by analysis. Faced with a choice, the intellect goes into overdrive. It creates elaborate spreadsheets of pros and cons. It seeks out a dozen conflicting opinions. It consumes mountains of data, believing that if it can just gather enough information, the perfect choice will become logically irrefutable. But this rarely happens. The mind, in its cleverness, can construct a compelling argument for any side. More information often leads not to more clarity, but to more confusion. The lake of the mind becomes hopelessly murky, and you are left exhausted, indecisive, and tormented by the fear of making the wrong choice. The second flawed path is that of the reactive mind. This is the way of impulse. A decision is made not from a place of deep knowing, but from a sudden surge of emotion, a flash of anger, a wave of excitement, a pang of fear. Or it is made in response to external pressure, the expectations of others, an arbitrary deadline. These reactive choices are often regretted because they are not anchored in your true purpose. They are the choices of the wild horse, not the rider. They are reflexes, not creations. The conscious leader, the architect of their own life, chooses a third way. It is the way of the master archer. Imagine an archer standing before a target. The target is the desired outcome, an expression of their purpose. The bow is their will, their intention. The arrow is the decision itself, the commitment of their energy, from which there is no return once it is loosed. An amateur archer, or one whose mind is full of doubt, will be trembling. Their breath will be shallow and erratic. They will overthink the wind, the distance, their own technique. If they release the arrow in this state of inner turmoil, it will surely miss its mark. This is the state of the over-analytical or reactive mind. But the master archer's process is entirely different. It is a ritual of stillness. First, the master archer plants their feet firmly on the ground, feeling their connection to the earth. This is the act of grounding yourself in the present moment, the practice you have cultivated. Second, they draw the bowstring smoothly and steadily, gathering the potential energy of the bow. This is the act of clarifying your intention, of calling upon your focused will. But here is the most crucial step. They do not immediately shoot. They hold the point of maximum tension, and in that tension, they find a point of perfect stillness. They take a deep, conscious breath. For a single, eternal moment, the world disappears. There is only the archer, the arrow, and the target. Their mind is silent, their body is calm. This is the still point of decision. From this silent, unwavering center, the release happens. It is not a violent, muscular act. It is a soft, effortless letting go. The arrow does not feel forced. It feels as if it were always meant to fly. And because it was released from a place of absolute stillness, it flies true, with immense power and precision. Your decisions are these arrows. To make them powerful and true, you must learn to release them from your own inner still point. How then do you access this still point in the midst of a complex life choice? First, you frame the decision with conscious language. You articulate the question clearly, without the baggage of fear or expectation. You hold this question gently in your awareness, not as a problem to be solved immediately, but as a seed you are allowing to germinate. Next, you honor both of your great faculties of intelligence. You use your intellect, your roadmap, to gather the necessary facts and analyze the situation to a reasonable degree. You survey the terrain, but you do not allow your intellect to make the final choice. You then present the choice to your deeper intelligence, your inner compass. You use your body as an oracle. Take one potential choice, option A. Hold it in your mind and bring your awareness deep into your body. How does the thought of this choice feel? Is there a sense of expansion, openness, lightness, and peace? Or is there a sense of contraction, tightness, dread, and resistance? Then, let it go and do the same for option B. Your body's subtle wisdom, free from the mind's complex rationalizations, will often give you a clearer signal than hours of thought. Then comes the most misunderstood part of this process, waiting for the decision to ripen. In a world that demands instant answers, this requires patience and trust. It is not procrastination, which is born of fear. It is a conscious, patient allowing. A great decision often needs time to integrate within your being. You hold the question, you feel the options, and you release it into the silence. You go about your life, staying present, staying open. The answer will often solidify when you least expect it, on a quiet walk, in the shower, or upon waking. It will not be a flash of emotional excitement, but a deep, quiet, unshakable sense of certainty. A feeling of profound peace will settle around one of the choices. It will feel solid, whole, and true. This is the moment the arrow has settled in the archer's aim. This is the still point. This is the moment of release. When you make a choice from this deep place of integrated certainty, the action that follows is imbued with immense power. It is free from the friction of inner conflict. You do not waste energy on doubt, on second-guessing, or on worrying about what others think, because the choice was made from a place of communion with your own soul. You commit fully. You burn the boats, as the saying goes, because you have no need to retreat. You are moving forward with the force of your entire being behind you. This practice builds a deep and resilient trust in yourself. You learn that you possess a guidance system far more reliable than your anxious mind or the opinions of the crowd. A leader who embodies this process becomes a source of profound stability and confidence for others. In the face of uncertainty, while others are panicking or demanding immediate reactive answers, this leader holds the space. They are comfortable with the creative tension of an unanswered question. They gather the data, they listen to their people, but they reserve the right to retreat into their own inner stillness to make the final choice. They are the master archer in the center of the organization. And when they finally loose the arrow, when the decision is announced, it carries the weight of their inner certainty. There is no hesitation, no ambiguity. The entire team feels this clarity and can align their own energies behind it with confidence. Their stillness in the face of pressure is a calming force that prevents chaos and inspires trust. You have now aligned your inner and outer worlds in a powerful new way. Your purpose provides the direction. Your focus provides the energy. Your words provide the creative command. And your choices, made from the still point, provide the commitment to action. You are no longer drifting. You are no longer fighting yourself. You are moving through the world as an integrated, conscious creator. And as you continue to operate from this state of wholeness, where your being and your doing are in perfect harmony, your very perception of reality begins to undergo a final, profound transformation. The illusion of a world made of separate, disconnected parts begins to dissolve. The veil thins. You begin to see, with the eyes of your soul, the intricate and beautiful web of energy that connects everything to everything else. You are on the verge of moving from personal power to a universal understanding. You are beginning to see through the veil. You have walked a long and sacred path inward. You have calmed the turbulent waters of your mind. You have learned to listen to the whispers of your intuition. You have found the rudder of your purpose, and you have learned to act from a place of still, centered power. You have become an integrated being, where your inner state and your outer actions are drawing into perfect, harmonious alignment. And when this alignment becomes your natural way of being, something profound begins to happen to your perception. The world itself begins to change. Not because the world has changed, but because the eyes with which you see it have been transformed. The veil of ordinary perception, the illusion of a world made of separate, disconnected things, begins to thin. You start to sense an underlying truth, a hidden architecture of reality. You begin to perceive with the senses of your soul the intricate, luminous, and unbreakable web of connection that links everything to everything else. You are moving beyond personal mastery and into a universal understanding. Our entire society, our language, and our egoic mind are built upon the foundation of a great illusion, the illusion of separation. From the moment we learn to say I, we begin to build a fortress around that identity. It is me versus you. It is my family versus your family. It is my company versus the competition. It is humanity versus nature. We see the world as a collection of competing fragments, a marketplace of separate entities vying for limited resources. This perception is the root of all conflict, all jealousy, all exploitation, and the deep, gnawing loneliness that haunts the modern soul. This sense of separation is created by our physical senses, which are brilliant tools for ensuring our biological survival, but poor instruments for perceiving ultimate reality. Our eyes tell us where our body ends and the chair begins, but they cannot see the single, unified field of energy from which both body and chair arise. To see through this veil, let us embrace a timeless metaphor. Imagine you are a single wave on the surface of a vast ocean. From your perspective as a wave, you have a clear identity. You have a beginning as you rise from the swell, a unique shape, a peak, and an end as you crash upon the shore. You look around and see countless other waves, each one seemingly separate from you. You might compare yourself to them, feeling proud of your size or envious of their perfect form. You might feel a sense of competition or a deep sense of isolation in the vastness of the sea. You fear your own end, the moment of dissolution when you cease to be a wave. This is the experience of the human ego, a temporary form believing itself to be a separate, permanent entity. Enlightenment, or the piercing of the veil, is the moment the wave has a sudden, profound realization. It realizes that its entire substance, its very waveness, is nothing other than ocean water. It is not in the ocean. It is the ocean. Its individual form is simply a temporary, beautiful, and unique expression of the one unified eternal ocean. This realization does not destroy the wave. In fact, it liberates it. The wave is now free from the terror of its own death, for it knows its true nature is the undying ocean. It is free from the anxiety of comparison and competition, for it knows that every other wave is also the ocean, a part of its own greater self. It can now dance, it can play, it can rise and fall with utter joy and freedom, fully expressing its waveness, while never for a moment forgetting the boundless, peaceful truth of its oceanness. You are not a separate wave. You are the entire ocean, expressing itself for a little while as the beautiful, temporary wave that is you. This is not just poetry. It is a reality hinted at by our deepest spiritual traditions and our most advanced sciences. At the quantum level, the world of solid, separate objects dissolves into a shimmering, probabilistic dance of energy fields. There is no hard line where you end and the air you are breathing begins. There is only one, vast, interconnected, and intelligent field of energy, vibrating at different frequencies to create the illusion of a solid world. Seeing this, feeling this, is the great shift in consciousness. When you begin to perceive this underlying unity, your understanding of concepts like karma transforms. Karma is not a cosmic system of reward and punishment meted out by a judgmental God. It is simply the unerring law of cause and effect within an interconnected system. It is the physics of the universal web. When you pull on a single thread of a spider's web, no matter how gently, the entire web vibrates. The vibration eventually finds its way back to the point of origin. Your thoughts, words, and actions are these pulls on the thread. An act of kindness, generosity, or compassion sent out to another is not merely a good deed. It is a harmonious vibration you are introducing into the one web of which you are a part. By the very law of the system, that harmonious energy must return to you. An act of cruelty, deceit, or harm is not just an attack on another. It is a jarring, dissonant vibration you are sending out. It is a self-inflicted wound, for the dissonance must also travel the web and return. This is not morality. It is physics. It is the universe's flawless accounting system for energy. This perceptual shift is what elevates a mere manager into a true, conscious leader. A manager operates from the illusion of separation. They see their team members as separate units of productivity, their customers as separate sources of revenue, and their competitors as separate enemies to be defeated. Their worldview is tactical, fragmented, and based on a win-lose paradigm. But a leader who has seen through the veil of separation operates from a place of systemic wisdom. They understand that their organization is not a machine with separate parts, but a living ecosystem where every part affects every other. They see that the well-being of their employees, the satisfaction of their customers, the health of their community, and even the success of their competitors are all part of the same interconnected web. They understand that a win that creates a loss somewhere else in the web is ultimately a loss for the whole system, and therefore a loss for them. They move from a win-lose framework to a paradigm where the whole system thrives. This is the birth of true vision, of sustainable and ethical leadership. This realization of interconnectedness is the great bridge. It is the pivot point upon which our entire journey turns. You have spent the first two phases of this journey cultivating your inner world, finding your calm, and clarifying your mind to achieve clarity. You have become a sovereign individual, a lighthouse standing on its own foundation. Now, this perception of unity prepares you for the third and final pillar of soulful leadership. It calls you to take the peace and clarity you have cultivated within and use it to engage with the world in a new way. For how can you truly connect with another being if, on the deepest level, you believe you are separate from them? How can you lead with compassion if you do not see their struggles as inextricably linked to your own? This felt sense of oneness is the absolute prerequisite for authentic connection. It is the foundation upon which genuine empathy, resonant communication, and heart-centered relationships are built. You are now ready to step out into the world, not just as a master of yourself, but as a conscious and loving part of the whole. You have journeyed to the very edge of your perceived self and have peered through the veil of separation. You have felt, in your bones, the profound truth of your interconnectedness with all of life. You are not a solitary wave, but the entire ocean expressing itself. This realization is the key that unlocks the third and final pillar of soulful leadership. Having cultivated deep inner calm and pristine mental clarity, you are now ready to turn towards the world and learn the sacred art of connection. This is where your inner state becomes outer influence, where your personal peace becomes a public gift. This is where you learn to lead not by what you do, but by who you are. We are taught to think of connection as an activity. It is networking. It is exchanging information. It is building a list of contacts. It is presenting a charming and witty version of ourselves in the hopes of getting something in return: approval, a sale, an advantage. This is the connection of the ego, and it is transactional, superficial, and ultimately unsatisfying. It is a game of masks, but true, deep human connection is not a transaction. It is a transmission. It is the resonance that occurs between two beings when they meet in a space of authentic presence. Your presence is the most powerful tool of influence you will ever possess. It is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built, and your presence is simply the quality of your full, undivided attention offered freely in the present moment. To understand this, let us use a new metaphor. Imagine that every person, at their energetic core, is a tuning fork. Each of us is constantly vibrating at the frequency of our dominant inner state. A person lost in anxiety is vibrating at a frantic, dissonant frequency. A person consumed by anger is vibrating with a jarring, aggressive energy. A person at peace is vibrating at a clear, stable, harmonious frequency. When you enter a room, you are a walking, vibrating tuning fork, and your energy, your note, interacts with every other energy field in that space. This is the unseen reality behind what we casually call vibes. You are not just a physical body, you are a broadcast station for consciousness. For most of your life, you may have been broadcasting a signal of stress or distraction without even knowing it. Now, through your inner work, you have learned how to consciously change your own frequency. You have learned to vibrate with the clear, steady note of inner calm. What happens when you, a tuning fork humming with peace, come near another tuning fork that is vibrating with the frantic energy of fear? The law of resonance dictates that the stronger, more stable frequency will influence the less stable one. Your calm does not need to announce itself. It does not need to give advice or try to fix the other person. Your stable vibration, your peaceful presence, is a silent invitation. It gently, subtly encourages the other person's nervous system to entrain with yours, to harmonize with your peace. You can literally calm another person down simply by being authentically calm yourself. This is not manipulation. It is a gift. It is influence at the quantum level. The most tangible way to offer this gift is through the practice of giving your full attention. Consider the poverty of a typical modern conversation. Two people are physically in the same space, but their consciousness is elsewhere. One person speaks while the other scans their phone, half listens, and mentally formulates their own story, simply waiting for their turn to transmit. This is not communication. It is a sequence of competing monologues. No real connection is possible here because no one is truly present. Now, imagine a different kind of interaction. You are speaking with someone. You consciously put your phone away, out of sight. You turn your body towards them. You make gentle eye contact. As they speak, you commit to simply receiving. You listen not only to their words, but to the emotions beneath the words. You notice the tone of their voice, the look in their eyes, the posture of their body. You are not thinking about what you will say next. You are not judging or analyzing their story. You are simply offering them the vast, open, silent, and non-judgmental space of your awareness. This act of offering your full, undivided presence is one of the most profound acts of love and respect you can show another human being. In a world that is starving for attention, you are offering a feast. You are silently communicating. For this moment in time, you are the most important person in my world. You matter. I see you. I hear you. This quality of attention has immense healing power. It creates a space of deep psychological safety, a space where another person can feel safe enough to remove their own mask and show you who they truly are. This is the soil in which trust grows. This is the foundation of all authentic relationships, whether with a partner, a child, or a team member. For a leader, this is not a soft skill. It is a superpower. You can give rousing speeches, design brilliant strategies, and offer generous bonuses, but if your people do not feel seen and heard by you on a human level, you will never have their full trust or their deepest loyalty. A distracted leader who is constantly checking their watch or their phone during a conversation, no matter how brief, sends a clear message. You are not as important as the next thing on my agenda. This small, unconscious act erodes trust and makes people feel like cogs in a machine. A present leader, however, who gives even 5 minutes of their complete, focused, uninterrupted attention makes that person feel like the most valuable asset in the organization. That feeling will inspire more commitment, more creativity, and more dedication than any threat or incentive ever could. Your resonant presence is the most valuable resource you have to offer. Of course, this is not easy. Your mind, conditioned for distraction, will want to wander. It will want to judge what the other person is saying, to relate it back to your own experience, to solve their problem for them. The practice is to notice this, and to gently, repeatedly, bring your focus back. Bring it back to the sound of their voice. Bring it back to the look in their eyes. Bring it. It is a meditation with another person as your object of focus. Each time you return your wandering attention to them, you are strengthening your capacity for connection. You are choosing to honor the being in front of you over the chatter in your head. As you master this art of offering your presence, you will begin to notice that communication is happening on a much deeper level than you ever realized. When you quiet your own inner monologue, you start to hear what is not being said. You begin to sense the hopes, the fears, and the true needs that lie hidden beneath the surface of the words. You are no longer just a passive receiver of sounds. You have created the foundation for a much deeper form of perception. You are ready to move beyond just hearing. You are ready to truly listen, not just with your ears, but with your entire being. You are ready to listen with your soul. You have learned to offer your presence, to stand as a lighthouse of calm in a turbulent world. You have learned that your very being can be a tuning fork for peace, harmonizing the space around you without a single word. This is the foundation of all authentic connection. Now, we build upon that foundation. We move from the passive radiance of your being to the active, conscious practice that this presence makes possible. We move from the art of being seen to the sacred art of truly seeing another. This is the journey from hearing to listening. It is the practice of listening not just with your ears, but with your entire soul. In the ordinary state of consciousness, we do not listen. We hear. Hearing is a biological process, a passive reception of sound waves, but it is almost always filtered through the thick, noisy static of our own mind. While another person is speaking, we are not truly with them. We are busy. We are judging what they say, comparing it to our own experiences, formulating our counter-arguments, and impatiently waiting for a pause in their speech so we can insert our own story. This is not listening. This is a battle of egos disguised as a conversation. It is an act of profound disconnection. True listening is a completely different state of being. It is a conscious, creative, and spiritual act. It requires the surrender of your own ego. It requires you to consciously set aside your own inner monologue, your desire to be right, your urge to fix their problems, and your need to relate everything back to yourself. True listening is the disciplined application of your presence. It is the willed intention to understand another soul, not just their words. To understand this difference, let us imagine that every person is a vast archaeological site, rich with history, hidden chambers, and buried treasure. The words a person speaks are like the pottery shards and arrowheads found scattered on the surface. They are interesting, they are valuable, and they give clues to the nature of the site, but they are by no means the whole story. The conventional hearer walks across this site, picks up a few surface-level artifacts, comments on them. "Oh, that's an interesting point," or "I had an experience just like that," and then quickly moves on, eager to show off the artifacts from their own site. They remain on the surface, and the interaction is shallow. The soulful listener, however, is like a master archaeologist of the soul. They approach the site with reverence and patience. They see the surface-level artifacts, the spoken words, and they honor them. But they know that the real treasure, the deeper truth of this person's experience, lies buried beneath. Their goal is not to quickly collect artifacts, but to gently excavate the site, Their tools are not the brute force of interrogation and unsolicited advice, but the subtle, powerful instruments of deep listening. The first and most powerful of these tools is silence. In a normal conversation, silence is treated as an awkward void that must be immediately filled. The soulful listener understands that silence is not a void, it is a space. It is a fertile space into which the deeper truth can emerge. When someone finishes a thought, instead of immediately jumping in, you hold the space for a few extra beats of silence. You remain present, with gentle, expectant eye contact. This silence is a powerful, unspoken invitation. It says, "I am still here. I am not rushing you. Is there more? What lies beneath what you just said?" Very often, the most important statement in a conversation is the one that follows a moment of shared, comfortable silence. The second tool of the archaeologist is the evocative question. A conventional hearer asks intrusive or data-driven questions. Why did you do that? What happened next? The soulful listener asks gentle, open-ended questions that invite exploration, not just reporting. What was that experience like for you? How did that feel in your heart? Tell me more about that part. These are not questions from the intellect, but invitations from the heart. They are not designed to extract information, but to help the other person make their own discoveries. You become a compassionate guide to their own inner world. The third and most subtle tool is the ability to listen to the energy behind the words. The master archaeologist pays attention to the quality of the soil. They listen not just to the what, but to the how. They notice the subtle hesitation in the voice that signals uncertainty. They see the flicker of pain in the eyes that betrays a casual, dismissive statement. They feel the surge of passion in the body that underscores a particular idea. They are listening to the whole person, the unspoken, the unspeakable, the vibrational truth that is being broadcast beneath the curated stream of words. This is listening with your entire being. This is listening with your soul. To offer this kind of listening to another person is to give them a gift of unimaginable value. To be truly heard, to be fully received without judgment, is an experience so rare that many people live their entire lives without it. When you offer someone this space, you are offering them a sacred mirror. In the reflection of your silent, compassionate presence, they can finally see and hear themselves with greater clarity. Often, they will arrive at their own solutions, untangle their own knots, and find their own wisdom, simply because you provided the safe, empty container in which their own truth could be born. You do not need to be their savior. You do not need to have the answers. You need only be their sanctuary. In this way, the listener becomes a midwife to the other person's soul. For a leader, this skill is not optional, it is essential. A leader who does not listen creates a culture of compliance and fear. Their people learn quickly that their ideas are not welcome, their concerns are irrelevant, and their dissenting opinions are dangerous. So they fall silent. The leader then becomes tragically isolated, surrounded by people who tell them only what they want to hear. They are flying a plane without any instrument readings, blind to the looming dangers and missed opportunities that their own team could have shown them. A leader who practices deep, soulful listening, however, unlocks the collective intelligence, creativity, and passion of their entire organization. They hear the quiet truth from the front lines. They discover the brilliant, game-changing idea from the most introverted member of the team. They sense the morale of their people not from sterile surveys, but from the felt reality of authentic conversation. They build a culture of unbreakable trust and psychological safety because every person knows that their voice matters. They know that they are seen, they are heard, and they are valued as a human being, not just as a resource. The ultimate form of this practice is learning to listen to the silence itself. The most profound communication between two conscious beings happens not in the torrent of words, but in the shared spaces of stillness between them. It is in this mutual silence that understanding deepens, where empathy is born, and where a true meeting of hearts can occur. It is here that you are no longer just listening to the temporary wave of their personality, but to the eternal ocean of their being. You are listening to the life that lives in them, the same life that lives in you. As you master this art of soulful listening, as you learn to become a safe and sacred space for the truth of others to unfold, something incredible happens within you. The act of receiving another so completely, so non-judgmentally, dissolves the final barriers of separation. Your intellectual understanding of their situation gives way to a direct, felt experience of their reality. Their joy touches your joy. Their pain touches your pain. You are no longer just connecting with them as a separate observer. You are feeling with them as a participant in a shared field of consciousness. This experience, this merging of hearts that is born from the crucible of deep listening, is the birth of true compassion, and that is the next step on our journey. You have learned to offer your undivided presence, becoming a silent sanctuary in which others can find their own truth. You have learned to listen with your soul, to hear the unspoken story beneath the words. This profound practice of being present and listening deeply dissolves the final illusion of separation, not as a concept, but as a felt reality. In that shared space of understanding, your heart naturally opens. This opening, this experience of feeling with and for another being as an extension of your own self, is the birth of compassion. Compassion is the emotional heartbeat of interconnectedness. It is the highest expression of the pillar of connection, and the beginning of a truly new way of being and leading in the world. To understand compassion, we must first distinguish it from its lesser-known relatives, pity and empathy. Pity is a product of the ego. It looks down from a position of imagined superiority and says, "Oh, you poor, unfortunate thing." Pity creates distance. It reinforces a hierarchy of suffering, making the pitier feel better about their own situation at the expense of the one being pitied. It is a cold and sterile emotion that offers no true connection. Empathy is a significant step forward. Empathy is the ability to feel with another person. It is to step into their shoes and feel a reflection of their pain, their joy, their anger. It is a vital bridge of human connection. However, raw, undisciplined empathy can be a dangerous trap. If you are not grounded in your own stillness, you can become overwhelmed and consumed by the other person's emotions. You can drown in their suffering, which helps neither you nor them. This is the source of burnout for so many in the caring professions. Compassion is the masterful synthesis of wisdom and love. It is empathy balanced by the profound calm you have cultivated. It is the ability to feel for another, to care deeply about their suffering, while remaining centered in your own peaceful being. Compassion does not say, "I feel your pain exactly." It says, "I am here with you in your pain. I can hold this space for you without being consumed by it." It is rooted in the deep, quiet wisdom that this person's suffering is not separate from your own. It is part of the shared human experience. It is the recognition that your suffering could also be my suffering, because at our core, we are one. This understanding prevents both the condescension of pity and the burnout of raw empathy. It allows you to be a source of strength, not another victim. Let us use a final metaphor. Imagine a small flower being battered by a cold, relentless rain. Pity is watching the flower from a high, dry window and thinking, "What a shame for that flower." Empathy is running outside and standing in the cold rain, becoming just as soaked and miserable as the flower, shivering alongside it. Compassion is the sun. The sun does not get caught in the storm. It does not become wet or cold. It waits, and when the moment is right, it shines. It radiates its own innate warmth and light. It does not reach down and pull the flower upright. It does not shout instructions at the flower on how to be stronger. It simply offers its warmth, its light, its energy, freely and without judgment. And in the presence of that warm, life-giving energy, the flower finds its own strength to straighten its stem, to dry its petals, and to turn its face once again toward the light. Compassion is this sun. It is a warm, empowering, non-invasive presence that creates the conditions for others to find their own healing and their own power. This means that compassion is not primarily an action. It is a state of being. The most compassionate thing you can do for a person in pain is often not to offer advice or to try and fix their problem. The most powerful act is to simply hold them in a state of warm, non-judgmental, loving awareness. It is to be the sun for them. Your silent, compassionate presence gives them the space and the safety to process their own experience, to access their own resilience. From this state of compassionate being, wise action may then arise. Sometimes the most compassionate action is to offer a hand. At other times, the most compassionate action is to step back and allow someone the dignity of their own struggle, trusting that they have the inner resources to find their way. The compassionate heart, guided by the quiet voice of intuition, knows the difference. It knows when to act and when to simply be. The cultivation of compassion begins with the self. You cannot offer the warmth of the sun to others if your own inner world is a cold, judgmental landscape. If you are constantly criticizing yourself, berating yourself for your mistakes, and refusing to forgive your own imperfections, you will have no genuine compassion to offer anyone else. The practice must start at home, within your own heart. Turn the eye of your heart inward. Look upon your own struggles, your own fears, your own perceived flaws, with the same warm, non-judgmental awareness you would offer to a beloved friend. When you make a mistake, instead of self-flagellation, can you offer yourself a gentle understanding? Can you whisper to yourself, "You are learning. It is okay. You are a human being doing the best you can"? This practice of self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is the necessary act of filling your own well, so that you have living water to offer others. A leader who operates from a place of compassion transforms the very nature of power. A leader driven by pity creates a weak and dependent team, where people are afraid to take risks for fear of being seen as pathetic. A leader driven by raw empathy may be loved, but they are often emotionally volatile, making inconsistent decisions based on who they feel most sorry for at any given moment. But a leader who radiates a steady, calm compassion creates a culture of profound resilience and psychological safety. Their team knows that they are valued as whole human beings, not just as instruments of productivity. They know that they can bring their full selves to work, that they can admit a mistake without fear of condemnation, that they can ask for help without being seen as weak. This compassionate leader can make difficult decisions, 7 decisions that involve loss or hardship in a way that honors the humanity of everyone involved. Because their heart is open, their people trust their intentions, even when the path is hard. They hold their team with the same warmth and light that the sun offers the flower, creating the conditions for astonishing growth and unbreakable loyalty. When you lead from this place of deep, authentic compassion, a final, beautiful shift occurs in your motivation. Your ego's desire for personal success, for praise, for the accumulation of power and followers begins to fall away. It is replaced by something far more fulfilling. You are no longer interested in building a pyramid with you at the top, supported by the labor of others. Your compassionate heart finds its greatest joy not in being served, but in serving, and the highest form of service becomes helping others find their own power. You no longer want to be the sole lighthouse. You want to help every ship ignite its own inner light. Your goal shifts from amassing followers to cultivating new leaders. This changes your entire approach to leadership. You become less like a carpenter who takes a piece of wood and tries to force it, cut it, and shape it into the form they have preconceived in their own mind. You become more like a master gardener who understands that the blueprint for the magnificent oak tree is already contained within the tiny acorn. Your job is not to shape the acorn, but to create the perfect conditions for it to realize its own innate potential. Having opened the eye of your heart, you now lead from a place of profound compassion. This compassion is not a weakness. It is the ultimate expression of your strength and wisdom. It transforms your relationship with everyone you encounter, and it fundamentally redefines your role as a leader. Your motivation shifts from a desire to control outcomes to a desire to nurture potential. You are no longer interested in being the star of the show. You find your deepest fulfillment in helping others shine their own light more brightly. This is the pivotal shift from the leadership model of the carpenter to the leadership model of the gardener. It is the difference between forcing and flowing, between carving and cultivating. The carpenter is a master of control. They look at a piece of raw wood, a person, a human resource, and they see its potential only in relation to their own preconceived design. They have a plan in their mind, a box they need to fill, and their job is to cut, sand, shape, and force that raw material until it fits their plan. The carpenter's focus is on the flaws and imperfections of the wood. They see the knots that must be removed, the rough edges that must be sanded down, the parts that must be cut away to fit the design. In this model, the wood's own unique grain, its innate character, is often seen as an obstacle to be overcome. A leader who operates as a carpenter sees their people as resources to be molded. They manage through command and control. They focus on weaknesses in performance reviews. They try to make everyone fit a standardized ideal, often creating a culture of fear where people are afraid to show their unique qualities for fear they will be deemed imperfect and sanded away. The carpenter builds a functional object, but in the process, they may destroy the soul of the wood. The conscious leader, the one who leads from a compassionate, interconnected heart, chooses the way of the gardener. The gardener looks at a tiny seed and sees not a piece of raw material, but a vessel of sacred and unique potential. They know that the perfect blueprint for a magnificent oak tree is already encoded within the acorn. They know that their own grand design for what an oak tree should look like is irrelevant. Their job is not to interfere with the seed itself, but to dedicate themselves completely to creating the ideal conditions for that seed to realize its own innate destiny. The gardener's work is a practice of deep wisdom and trust. First, they tend to the soil. For a leader, this is the act of creating a rich, nourishing, and safe culture. The soil is the shared environment of trust, respect, and psychological safety. It is a culture where people feel safe enough to be vulnerable, to take risks, and to allow their tender new shoots of ideas to break through the ground without fear of being trampled. Next, the gardener provides water. This is the nourishment of resources, of training, of clear communication, and of consistent encouragement. It is quenching the thirst for knowledge and growth. Then, the gardener ensures there is sunlight. This is the act of providing opportunity. It is giving people challenging assignments where they can stretch and grow. It is giving them visibility for their accomplishments. And it is the warm, compassionate light of your own presence, which we have already discussed, that gives life and energy to all. Finally, the gardener gently weeds. They remove the obstacles that would choke the growth of their plants, the stifling bureaucracy, the toxic interpersonal dynamics, the unnecessary distractions. They protect the garden from pests. Notice what the gardener does not do. They do not stand over the acorn shouting at it to grow faster. They do not dig it up every day to check on its progress. And they certainly do not try to carve the acorn into the shape of a leaf. The gardener's greatest skill is their profound trust in the life process itself. They create the right conditions, and then they step back with patient, loving awareness, allowing each plant to grow at its own pace and in its own unique way. This is a leadership of empowerment, not micromanagement. It is a leadership of trust, not suspicion. It is a leadership of faith in the hidden potential of others. This gardening model completely changes your focus. The carpenter is obsessed with fixing weaknesses. The gardener is dedicated to amplifying strengths. They know that every plant has its own unique genius. A rose is not a failed oak tree. Its genius is in its beauty and fragrance. An oak tree is not a failed rose. Its genius is in its strength and endurance. A gardener leader stops trying to make everyone well-rounded by sanding away their unique edges. Instead, they become a master at identifying the unique genius in each person. They then strive to place that person in a role and on a project where their natural strength can flourish. When you put a person in the soil of their own genius, they grow with an energy and passion that no amount of management can ever command. Their weaknesses become largely irrelevant in the dazzling light of their expressed strengths. This approach requires you to learn to delegate real power. The carpenter hoards their tools and their control. The gardener's greatest success is a garden that can sustain itself, with plants that have grown such strong roots that they no longer need constant attention. To do this, you must give your people genuine ownership over their patch of the garden. You must trust them with real responsibility. You must have the courage to let them make mistakes, understanding that a mistake is not a failure, but a form of fertilizer that helps them grow deeper, stronger roots of experience. When people feel a true sense of ownership, their level of engagement, accountability, and innovation skyrockets. They are no longer tending to your garden. They are tending to theirs. And finally, the source of your joy completely transforms. The carpenter feels a joy of the ego. It is the satisfaction of looking at a finished object and saying, "I made that. Look at my skill." The gardener's joy is a joy of the heart. It is the selfless delight of watching life unfold. It is the wonder of seeing the unique and often surprising ways that each seed expresses its own inner blueprint. The gardener's joy is not "look what I did," but "look what was able to grow." It is the joy of a compassionate parent, a loving teacher, a true soulful leader. When you fully embody this role as the cultivator of human potential, you align yourself with the very creative forces of life itself. You cease to be a lone agent trying to impose your will upon the world, and you become a conscious partner with a much greater intelligence. You learn to work with the natural grain of things, with the innate potential in people, with the organic flow of events. And when you begin to work in this harmonious way, you may notice that the universe itself seems to meet you halfway. Opportunities appear. The right people show up. A sense of synchronicity and flow begins to permeate your life. You are no longer fighting the current. You are learning to ride it. You are entering into a conscious co-creation with the intelligence of the universe. You are learning to listen to its whispers and to dance to its rhythms. You have learned to lead with a compassionate heart, to see your role not as a carpenter who forces and shapes, but as a gardener who lovingly cultivates the innate potential in others. You have aligned yourself with the organic, natural process of growth. This shift in your approach to people now extends to your relationship with life itself. You begin to sense that the universe is not a dead, random machine, but a living, intelligent, and responsive field of consciousness. You realize that the same principles of flowing with rather than fighting against apply to your very destiny. You are now ready to move beyond just leading others and into the profound art of co-creating with the cosmos. This is where you cease to be a rower, struggling against the current, and become a master surfer, dancing with the powerful waves of life. The old paradigm, the one dictated by the fearful ego, views life as a battle. It is a constant struggle against scarcity, against competition, against a universe that is either indifferent or hostile to your desires. In this view, you must exert your will, force things to happen, conquer obstacles, and protect what is yours. This worldview is a recipe for a life of stress, anxiety, and exhaustion. It is the life of the rower with a small boat in a vast ocean, believing they must paddle with all their might against the wind and the tides to get anywhere. They may make some progress, but it is grueling, inefficient, and they are constantly at risk of being swamped by forces far greater than themselves. They live in a state of perpetual struggle because their fundamental relationship with life is one of conflict. The new paradigm, the one that opens up to you when you are established in calm, clarity, and connection, is one of a sacred dance. Life is not an adversary, it is your dance partner. It has its own music, its own rhythm, its own powerful sweeping movements. You cannot control your partner, but you can learn to listen to the music. You can learn to feel their movements and respond in a way that is graceful and harmonious. This is the essence of co-creation. You do not surrender your own will, but you blend it with a greater will. You lead and are led, you act and are acted upon, in a beautiful, dynamic exchange. This is the life of the surfer. Imagine the universe as the ocean, boundless and full of immense, unpredictable power. The events and opportunities of your life are the waves. You cannot create a wave. You cannot command the ocean to send you the perfect wave on demand. The waves are a product of the ocean's own mysterious rhythm. The unskilled surfer, operating from the ego, fights the ocean. They paddle frantically, trying to catch every small, choppy wave that comes their way, wasting their energy. They get frustrated. They try to force their board onto a wave that isn't right, and they are inevitably knocked over, tumbled in the chaos of the surf. They end the day exhausted and demoralized, feeling like the ocean is against them. The master surfer embodies the wisdom you have cultivated. They begin with stillness. They sit on their board, rising and falling gently with the swell, conserving their energy. They are not just looking at the horizon with their eyes. They are feeling the entire ocean with their body. They are one with their board and one with the water. They are listening. This is the state of presence you have learned. They feel the subtle shift in energy, the deep underwater pull that signals the formation of a powerful, well-formed wave long before it becomes a visible peak. This is your intuition, your inner compass, reading the field. The master surfer lets dozens of unsuitable waves pass them by. They are not tempted by the frantic, choppy energy of small opportunities. They are patient. They are waiting for the wave that is theirs. When they feel the right wave begin to swell beneath them, they do not hesitate. This is the still point of decision. They commit. With a few powerful focus strokes, they align their energy with the wave's energy, and in that perfect moment of synchronicity, they catch the wave. And now, the dance begins. As they are rising up the face of the wave, they are not in complete control. The wave's immense power is what is moving them, but they are not passive. They are actively engaged, making subtle shifts in their balance, guiding the board with skill and grace, using the wave's power to perform a beautiful ride. The wave provides the raw power. The surfer provides the clear direction. This is co-creation. You are using the universe's own momentum to carry you swiftly and joyfully toward your purpose. How do you signal to the ocean what kind of wave you are waiting for? This is done through the power of your inner state, the frequency you are broadcasting. This is the true essence of what many call the law of attraction. It is not about a shopping list of desires you send out to the cosmos. It is about embodying the vibrational reality of your desire before it manifests. The universe does not respond to your words of wanting. It responds to your feeling of having. It does not respond to what you think. It responds to who you are being. This is a crucial distinction. To want something is to affirm to the universe that you do not have it. It is to vibrate at the frequency of lack. To attract abundance, you must vibrate with the feeling of abundance now, regardless of your current bank statement. To attract love, you must become a vessel of love. The practice is to inhabit the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Take your clearly defined purpose. What would it feel like if it were already your complete reality? What is the dominant emotional note you would feel? Would it be a deep sense of peace, a quiet confidence, a radiant joy, a profound gratitude? Your work is to cultivate that specific feeling in your body now. You close your eyes and you feel that peace, that gratitude, as if the thing has already happened. You walk through your day carrying that inner state with you. This feeling state is the energetic signal you send out into the field. You are telling the ocean, I am ready for the wave that feels like this. And the universe, which is a mirror of your inner state, has no choice but to reflect back to you the circumstances, people, and events that match the frequency of your being. As you begin to live in this state of co-creative partnership, you will start to notice the language of the universe responding to you. This language is synchronicity. Synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, a chance event so perfect and timely that it feels orchestrated. You think of an old friend, and they call you that afternoon. You need a specific piece of information, and the book you randomly pick up falls open to that exact page. You are looking for a partner for a project, and you meet the perfect person in the most unexpected way. These are not accidents. These are winks from your dance partner. These are the universe's way of letting you know that you are on the right wave, that you are in the flow. The more you notice and acknowledge these synchronicities with gratitude, the more frequent they become. You are entering into a conscious dialogue with the intelligence of life. The leader who understands this principle leads in a revolutionary way. A conventional leader tries to be the dam, resisting the inevitable currents of change and disruption. They are always broken in the end. The conscious leader is the master surfer. They do not fear the powerful waves of technological change or market shifts. They teach their team how to feel the swell, how to anticipate the rhythm of what is coming. They position their organization not to resist the wave, but to catch it and ride it into a new and exciting future, leaving their rigid, resistant competitors behind. Their leadership is not about having a 5-year plan carved in stone. It is about cultivating the collective presence, intuition, and agility to dance gracefully with an unpredictable world. When you live in this state of co-creative flow, when you state your intention through the feeling of its fulfillment, and then trust the universe to handle the how and the when, a final, profound shift in the ego begins. The desperate need to control, the exhausting effort to make things happen, begins to dissolve. You realize that your greatest power lies not in forcing your will, but in aligning your will with a greater one. The I, the separate self who believed it had to do everything on its own, relaxes. It begins to see itself less as a doer and more as a channel, a conduit through which a greater intelligence can act. You become a vessel for the creative impulse of the universe. This is the gateway to egoless service, the final stage of your leadership journey. Having learned to dance with the rhythms of the universe, to co-create with the flow of life, you stand at the threshold of the final transformation in your leadership journey. You have moved from a paradigm of struggle and control to one of trust and harmonious partnership. You have felt the universe respond to the frequency of your being. As this trust deepens, a final, beautiful letting go occurs. The part of you that felt it had to strive, to prove, to achieve, to be the great doer of your life, begins to relax its grip. The ego, the separate self that you have worked so diligently to understand and see through, now voluntarily steps aside. It recognizes that its greatest function is not to be the hero of the story, but to become a transparent vessel for a wisdom and power far greater than its own. You are entering the realm of egoless service. You are learning to lead from emptiness. Let us be clear what this emptiness means. It is not a void. It is not a state of nihilistic nothingness. In the great wisdom traditions of the East, emptiness or sunyata means empty of a separate, solid, independent self. It is the recognition of your true nature, which is not a limited, defined object, but the boundless, formless awareness in which all objects and experiences arise. It is the silent, empty space of a room that allows all the furniture to exist. It is the vast, clear sky that allows all the clouds to pass through. To become empty is to cease identifying with the fleeting clouds of your personality, your history, your accomplishments, and to rest in the infinite sky of your true being. It is to become no-thing, so that you can be a conduit for everything. Imagine you are a finely crafted flute. The flute is beautiful, it is elegant, but what is its most essential, most magical quality? It is its hollowness, it is its emptiness. The flute itself cannot create a single note of music. It has no song of its own to sing. Its entire purpose, its entire glory, is fulfilled by its willingness to be a clean, open, and unobstructed channel for the breath of the musician. If the flute were filled with its own ideas, its own agenda, its own ego, it would be useless. It could not produce music. It could only produce a dull thud. The musician is the great creative intelligence of the universe, the life force itself. The breath is the divine impulse of creation, of wisdom, of love. The leader who leads from emptiness has consciously undertaken the process of hollowing themselves out. They have painstakingly cleared out the debris of their personal ego, their need for recognition, their fear of criticism, their attachment to outcomes, their personal agenda. They have become a clean, open channel, and so the music of the universe can play through them, unimpeded. Wisdom flows through them. Inspiration flows through them. Right action flows through them. The beautiful music is not from them, but it happens through them, and the world is enriched by their song. To lead from this state of emptiness cultivates a new and profound form of humility. This is not the false humility of the ego, which says, "Oh, I am worthless, I am no good." That is just another ego game, a strategy for getting attention. True humility is the simple, quiet, matter-of-fact recognition that you are an instrument. It is the flute's silent awe and reverence for the musician and the music. It is an understanding so deep that it requires no outward display. The leader from emptiness does not need to talk about their humility. Their every action is infused with it. They listen more than they speak. They give credit to others freely because they have no inner need to hoard it for themselves. They see the magnificence in others because they are no longer blinded by their own. When you operate from this state, action still occurs. Often, these actions are more powerful, more precise, and more effective than any action born of egoic striving. But there is no longer a sense of a personal doer behind the action. The sense of strain, of pushing a boulder uphill, disappears. It is replaced by a feeling of effortless flow. You are acting, but it feels as if you are being acted through. It is the difference between swimming frantically against the current and being carried gracefully within its powerful flow. Because there is no me seeking a personal reward from the action, you become liberated from the tyranny of outcomes. You become unattached to praise or blame. If an action undertaken through you leads to a result the world calls success, there is a quiet gratitude for having been a useful instrument, but there is no inflation of the ego. If it leads to a result the world calls failure, there is a peaceful acceptance and an opportunity for learning, but there is no crippling sense of personal shame. Your self-worth is no longer tied to the ever-changing tides of external results. Your peace is unshakable because your identity is rooted in the empty sky, not in the passing weather. The leader who has reached this state often becomes almost invisible. Their leadership is so effective, so empowering, that it feels as if things are just happening on their own. They do not need to take center stage or make grand pronouncements. They are like the quiet hub of a wheel. The hub is the absolute center, the point of stillness from which all strength emanates, yet it is the rim with the spokes that appears to be doing all the moving. The master leader empowers their team so completely that the team achieves incredible things and feels a profound sense of ownership and pride in their work. This is the fulfillment of the ancient Taoist wisdom. When the master's work is done, the people say, "Amazing, we did it all by ourselves." This is not a passive abdication of responsibility. It is the highest form of active and intentional leadership. It is the supreme act of trust and empowerment, born from a being who has no need to prove their own importance. This is the pinnacle of the pillar of connection, a connection so total that the boundary between the self and the other, between the leader and the team, between the individual and the universe itself, dissolves into a seamless, cooperative, and creative dance. You have moved from a separate doer to a conscious co-creator to, finally, a clear and empty conduit. The personal I with its small plans and fears, has been replaced by a universal I that sees the whole system and serves only the good of the whole. Your life becomes an act of service, but not a draining, dutiful service. It is a joyful, effortless overflowing, the natural result of being an open channel for life's creative energy. And here, at this summit of egoless service and universal connection, a mysterious and beautiful thing occurs. The journey comes full circle. Having expanded your consciousness to embrace the entire universe, you find yourself returning, with enlightened eyes, to the very place where you began. The simple, profound, and all-encompassing power of your own inner stillness. The circle is now complete, but you are not the same person who began the journey. You are on a higher octave of the same great spiral of being. You have journeyed from the inner anchor of your own stillness, through the clarifying light of your purpose, to the boundless expanse of universal connection. You have learned to lead from a place of egoless service, becoming a clean and open channel for a wisdom greater than your own. And here, at the very summit of this great mountain of understanding, after expanding your consciousness to embrace the entire cosmos, the path leads you to a surprising and beautiful destination. It leads you directly back to the exact place where you began. The great circle is now complete, but you are not the same traveler who first set out on this path. You return to the source, but with new eyes, and you see for the first time the profound truth that was always waiting for you. Think of your journey not as a straight line, but as a spiral staircase within a great tower. When you first sought refuge from the noise of the world, you found the window of calm. You looked through it and found a blessed silence, a sanctuary from the storm. This was the first great discovery. Then, armed with this newfound peace, you began to ascend the spiral. You passed the same window again, but now you were on a higher level. Looking through this window of stillness, you no longer just saw silence. You saw with clarity. The landscape of your purpose was revealed. The path of your intuition became visible. You continued your ascent, spiraling up into the realms of connection. Again, you arrived at the same window, the same portal of your own inner quiet. But now, your perception was even more refined. Looking out from this stillness, you could not only see the path, you could feel the entire landscape. You could feel the hearts of others. You could feel the rhythm of the universe. Now, having reached the very top, you arrive at this window of stillness for a final time, and the view is transformed. You look into your own calm, and you realize it is not a refuge from the world, but the most profound connection with the world. Your inner peace is the felt experience of your oneness with everything. The ocean is not connected to its waves. The ocean is the waves. Your calm is no longer a tool you use. It is the very essence of who you are, an essence you now recognize in all things. Your calm is your ultimate connection. Your stillness is your service. The journey outwards was, in truth, a journey deeper inwards. The entire path of becoming a soulful leader was simply a process of unbecoming everything you thought you were, so you could finally rest in the magnificent, simple truth of what you have always been. You never needed to go anywhere. The answer was never out there. It was always here, in the silent, loving, ever-present awareness that is reading these words, that is hearing these sounds. And so, we leave you with this final image to hold in your heart. You are the lighthouse. You are a tower of strength and light, built upon the bedrock of your own inner truth. Do not exhaust yourself by jumping into the stormy seas of the world, trying to rescue every ship. That is not your work. Your work is simpler, and yet far more profound. Your work is to stay rooted in your foundation. Your work is to tend to your own inner light, ensuring it burns brightly, clearly, and consistently. Be the unwavering pillar of calm in a world of chaos. Shine the unwavering beam of your clarity into the fog of confusion. And from that place of steadfast being, offer the gift of your connection, your guiding light, to all who are lost in the storm, allowing them the dignity of finding their own way home. Your presence is your purpose. Your being is your greatest gift. Remember this. Carry it with you, not as a thought in your mind, but as a feeling in your core. When the world pulls you into its noise, remember the silence. When confusion clouds your path, remember the still lake. When you feel separate and alone, remember the ocean. Be still and know. Be clear and act. Be connected and serve. The leader you were searching for in the world, the wisdom you sought from others, the peace you hope to one day find, has been waiting within you all along. It is awake now. Let it shine.